The Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find The Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, how the heck are you? Good Wednesday, June 21st, 2023. You're just going to have one of these shows, aren't you?
What?
Today's that day where Jake is a little uppity.
Uppity.
He can't get a nickel for his grandma.
Yeah.
Jake's a little uppity today. We'll talk about that coming up. Finebaum set the college sports world afire today. And really, it was yesterday, going on about how college sports is dying, and it's all like, no, it's not. It's fine. We'll talk about that. The Utah Jazz TV deal has been heavily and hotly debated, and I think this plays into the Finebaum point. And I know a lot of people have talked about this here on the Monty Show, presented by our good friends at The Advocates. TheAdvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. Listen, if you get hurt at work today, if you were riding your bike to work today, if you fell out of bed at an Airbnb, The Advocates, TheAdvocates.com. If your coworker is a jerk and he leaves stuff in the middle of the floor, you trip and fall, TheAdvocates.com. Because the one thing that I think a lot of people forget is that, especially in auto accidents and really any insurance-related situation, the insurance company is not on your side. Your insurance company is not going to fight for you. They are not going to do what's best for you. They're always going to do what's best for them. That's why you need The Advocates. TheAdvocates.com. Chat with an attorney live online 24/7, 365. Where do we do we start with the Finebaum conversation? Is that where we are in this world where Paul Finebaum said that college football is dying, essentially?
Mm-hmm.
Finebaum said that it's all about contraction, and ultimately, as much as big conferences don't really want to expand, they'll be forced to take the cream of the crop out there, whether it's the Big Ten going to the Northwest, Colorado and Arizona, or somebody else just deciding to go to the Big 12. I don't believe the Pac-12 can exist. So said the great Paul Finebaum.
Right.
And the struggle for me, and what I've always struggled with in these conversations, how much bias is there in what Paul Finebaum says?
Absolutely a lot.
Well,
Plenty. Has
clearly,
to be.
right? He is an SEC guy through and through. And I don't have a problem with that. The Pac-12 has its mouthpieces, as we have well documented on this show. So I don't have any problem with Finebaum necessarily defending the merits of the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
But this, in my opinion, I think this is just completely accurate and on point. I actually think he's 100% right. I don't think, and whether it's the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, I don't believe that any of these large conferences really want to, breaking news out of college basketball. How about this story? Memphis coach Penny Hardaway has been suspended for the first 3 games of the 23-24 season for recruiting violations and violating head coach responsibility rules. The violations were classified as level 2 mitigated violations. So Penny Hardaway, we knew this was coming.
Mm-hmm.
He's lost. The transfer portal has not been his friend this week.
No. Nope.
That's a very interesting story to keep an eye on. But in general, I don't believe that college football is dying. I think the NCAA is dying. But, if we're being honest, I think you have to look at all of this contraction. I think you have to look at the situation like the Pac-12. Is the Pac-12 in the situation they're in because nobody cares about college football? Because there just isn't an interest level. No, it's in this situation, the Pac-12 is, because of utter mismanagement. But why is the Big Ten where they are? Well, that's because they have the largest TV deal and they have some of the most powerful and successful brands in all of college sports, which is the exact same thing I could say for the SEC, obviously, but I can't say that for the Pac-12. I certainly can't say that for the ACC, meaning I think the ACC with this grant of rights completely mismanaged it. They completely blew it as a business model, and it's allowed the Big 12 now to come back from death's doorstep and become a major player in college athletics. But, Jake, by no degree do I believe that college sports and specifically college football is dying.
No, and I think there's a heavy desire to watch the product, and that ultimately is what it comes down to. If you take the football fandom out of it and you say, okay, do people desire the product? Do they want to watch it? Well, absolutely. College football is dominant in our TV landscape, in our country, and that's where I think, this stuff from Finebaum, while he's not necessarily wrong when it comes to the Pac-12, I think the health of college football has never really been better. I mean, you look at how much it's talked about nationally. You look at just how much drama there has been around the college football playoff since its birth and creation. Like, I think that's exactly what the point of the college football playoff really was. I mean, you go from computer models and, doing it a certain way for however long that was to basically saying, okay, we're going to sit around a table, look at strength of schedule, look at rosters, look at path, and decide who goes where. And that set the college football world on fire. And so when you look at college football, I think it's incredibly healthy. I mean, the idea that we're having conversations around who's got a better career, when it comes down to like the Sabinator or Kirby or Lincoln Riley and Lincoln at SC, like there are all these storylines and narratives and things that drive college football forward. And so I disagree that college football is dying or it's at all in bad shape. I think it's in perfectly fine shape. The Pac-12 is the one where I'm starting to look at this situation and say, okay, it's now the 21st of June, right? Keep counting down the days. When are we going to get a TV deal announced? And my feeling is there's a possibility at this point that they don't get a TV deal announced. Right. Because if it was going to get announced, I have to believe that it would have been already, and that's kind of crazy to think about.
But I also look at like this Pac-12 expansion conversation we've been having. SMU and Tulane fans and San Diego State fans are going on and on and on about, well, we won a national championship or we played for college. I think the thing that people forget is in these conversations, on-field achievement, on-court achievement is almost meaningless. Like, it doesn't matter what Craig James and Eric Dickerson did at SMU. That's what I can't get people to understand is I'm telling you, it doesn't matter that BYU won a championship in 1984. Why is BYU attractive to the Big 12? Why was it such a catastrophe that the Pac-12 didn't add BYU in over there in Little Provo, Utah? Why is it such a disaster for the Pac-12 to have passed on BYU? Well, because the viewership, the reach, the dollars that they bring, the scheduling, the wins on the field are secondary and really third, fourth, fifth down the list. Very low down the list, right? If you look at SMU, nobody's like, well, let me check their conference record over the last 5 years to determine if I'm going to put them in the Pac-12. You would only be going after SMU because of Dallas, and you would hope, and I don't believe that SMU does, but you would hope that SMU would deliver you the Metroplex, and I'm not convinced that it does. I'm really not. I look at Tulane, and I think Tulane, why is Tulane far more attractive to the Pac-12, according to the sources I've spoken to, than SMU? Because Tulane has all the academic standing you could want. They're an AAU institution. Like they marry up to the current membership much better than SMU does.
Facts.
Nobody cares about football, baseball, basketball versus, hey, what revenue can SMU or Tulane bring to the table in the Pac-12? That's what matters. That's always what's going to matter. That's what's always mattered. And I'm telling you, that's why Tulane's a far better partner, because you have to look at not only athletic, right? You have to look at, like, one of the major arguments is Tulane has a 4,000 seat basketball venue, which they sell out. They will sell out. Joining the Pac-12. The problem is the Pac-12 is not a basketball league.
Yeah.
Because in all likelihood, the Pac-12 is going to lose Arizona when they've already lost USC and UCLA, two of their better basketball properties in the Pac-12. So does it really matter that Tulane's not known as a basketball school? It doesn't. It absolutely does not. What's more important in Pac-12 membership? Tulane's basketball capacity or the fact that they're AAU and they do research and they make revenue through education? Because I don't even think, and I could be wrong, you tell me, I don't even think the Pac-12 cares that they've got a 4,000-seat basketball venue.
No.
I don't even know, if you're considering expansion, I don't think you know or care how many people fit in somebody's basketball arena.
No, and I just
don't think it matters.
I don't think you're looking at it on that small of a scale. I think you're not zooming in that much. I think what you're doing is you're saying, okay, well, how big is the university? What kind of revenue do you have? Have you been relevant in athletics? But most importantly, and again, I think people forget this, most importantly, are you AAU? Are you a good educational institution? And believe me, I wish they'd come off it a little bit. I really do. My opinion and my philosophy with this situation has always been, yeah, education matters, and in college it's always first. But I think this balance of education and the grants and the money and all the things that these different institutions do on the education side, that's always going to take priority. But I think the combination of strong academics plus strong athletics is what ultimately propels programs to the top tier echelon of athletics. Because again, you look at like a Northwestern, prestigious, academic institution in the Midwest. Great. When's the last time they did anything in athletics, right? Well, that doesn't change the fact that they're still a great place to go and get an education.
And they're a valued member of the Big Ten.
Right? Because they're so good educationally. So this conversation isn't about, hey, well, did you win or lose football games? Like, yeah, that matters, but ultimately, what does it come down to? Hey, Stanford sucks at almost everything they do athletically. Had a nice run in the College World Series this year, right? But what is Stanford known for? Well, they're the number 3 college institution, educationally speaking, in the country.
And Tulane's 44th.
So Tulane, yeah, are they a college football playoff juggernaut? Are they in the tournament every year? Are they doing anything athletically that is worth a damn? Not really. But they're a good add to your conference because of the educational money you can bring in. So that's why I say, this is deeper than just do you win football games.
I think Tulane's 30th in the country amongst private it's a private institution. I think they're ranked 30th among private schools. I think they're 44th overall. I mean, there's a lot to like about Tulane. Now, again, I think all of this goes back to the Utah Jazz TV deal. I know that sounds crazy, but the other part of this that I think is so fascinating is the Pac-12's got to get a TV deal before any of this matters. Before you can expand, that's why this fiasco with Canzano reporting a grant of rights was done. It was never done. It was never close to done. It's not done. It's not close to done, right? Because you don't have a TV deal. And your media rights deal is the heart of a grant of rights. But how are you going to pay for SMU, Tulane, San Diego State? How are you going to do that? I think that's the bigger issue. And I look at the secondary schools in the Pac-12 right now, of which I would put the University of Utah in this conversation. Because I think when you look at, hey, what are the big brands in the Pac-12? Well, it's Oregon and Washington. Those are the 2 big brands of the 10 remaining, right? But as an institution, Utah's absolutely valuable across the country to any conference. Does that mean they're going to get an invite from the SEC? Absolutely not. Does that mean the Big Ten's going to come calling? Probably not. But is the Big 12 very interested in adding Utah? Yeah. Is that because they bring a ton of eyeballs to the TV? Not really. They're not the worst. They're not certainly the best as far as viewership goes of what one would think could be available schools. But the one thing is they're going to perform academically. They are, I think, 105th in the country for colleges. They're a research institution. They're AAU. They're medical school, everything that you want. Business, medical schools, you can get your MBA there. Everything you want, Utah brings. By the way, they have the best defensive line, and they probably have the best defensive unit in the Pac-12. They can walk into your conference in the Big 12 right now and compete, arguably, to win a conference championship. Utah's the perfect example of a school that's never going to have the biggest enrollment. They're never going to have the biggest alumni base. They're certainly not going to have the best basketball program and have not for some time. But they're incredibly valuable. Their women's sports are performing. But they're not the first school you're going to think of when you come to the Pac-12, right? No, you're going to think of Oregon, Washington, and are you going to think of Stanford and Cal before you think of Utah? I think certainly Stanford, and I think certainly Cal for academics. But other than that, if you look at Utah's total package, it's awfully difficult to beat what they add. So when you look at the schools that are going to be potentially available, I think there are really only, Arizona, although there's a lot of politics in Arizona right now. The culture in Arizona is struggling a little bit. Arizona is absolutely valuable, right? I think Utah's valuable, Oregon, Washington. All of this to say, what does it matter if the Pac-12 does not get a TV deal? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because all of these institutions are going to go somewhere, and they all have dollar values. So while everybody's sitting around arguing about adding Tulane and SMU, you got to get a TV deal first. And I don't see how and again, I could be wrong. I'm wide open to the idea, but I just don't see how the Pac-12 survives as a major conference, much to Paul Finebaum's point, which is, I don't believe that the Pac-12 can exist as it is currently constituted.
Are we clear on that?
And if you do lose schools, and this is the part of the equation that nobody in the Pac-12 wants to talk about, not a supporter, not a mouthpiece, not a media member, not an administrator, and we've asked them all. If you don't get a media rights deal, how do you survive? Okay, let's say you get a $19 million media rights deal. How do you survive? Because you're not going to be able to compete with the other four conferences if you are making $19 million a year and San Diego State and SMU are in your conference.
Yeah.
I think you are irrelevant. I think you are wholly irrelevant in the landscape of things.
Yeah,
I think that's
I honestly think that this whole situation, you're at risk of losing your P5 status. I think you can only go so far.
I don't disagree with that.
With, hey, we're making so little money and we only have a certain amount of team. Like, you're not a P5 at that point. So yeah, I think the Pac has a lot at risk here, no doubt.
Yeah, I think the Pac-12 is in a very precarious situation.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to you. I appreciate you guys being here. If you're watching the show live, like Derek Myrie is, hello, Derek. Preston, what's going on with you? He goes, what's going on?
What's going on,
What's
sir?
going on? Provo Cougar fans, say it ain't so, Monty and Jake.
I think there's some shock factor happening that we're on right now.
Yeah, if you're watching the show live, it is Wednesday, June 21st at 10:30 in the morning. We are going up to Canyons Golf today, the official golf club of the Monty Show. We have an event. By the way, why don't you come and join us Tuesday, June 27th, which is a week from yesterday, up at Canyons, to play a little golf in their annual Memorial Day tournament. $500 per team, so $125 a player, and that includes everything: greens fees, food, drink, you name it, it's covered. It is the prizes that Darren Ingram, the pro up at Canyons Golf, has lined up. And we play a lot of golf on a lot of different courses.
Yeah.
Canyons is routinely the best. Darren is one of the best directors of golf we know.
Mm-hmm.
He puts on a tournament like this. This was their largest event last year at Canyons. And I would tell you, get involved in it, man. It's a 4-man scramble. You get food and prizes included. Swanee's, you get a Swanee's party and shopping spree at 9:30 a.m.
We'll be there. Come see us.
And we are going to be there. You get top-notch prizes for all players. RSVP, just send an email to canyonsgolf@vailresorts.com. Canyonsgolf@vailresorts.com. Again, it's $500 per team. That's for your entire 4-man team. $125 a player, and the prizes, the event, the golf, it is spectacular. Jake and I will be there. Come on out, play some golf with us. Let's have a good time. at Canyons Golf. By the way, we need 2 players for our team. So if you would like to golf with us,
Part of our team.
and be aggressive expansion. We need people to golf with us next Tuesday in the Memorial.
Schemers trying to control their little worlds.
11 a.m. tee time, 9:30 shopping spree with Swanee's Golf. But come up and be on our team. It's $125. Why don't you get in and join us on our team at the Memorial?
Yeah.
It is going to be a fantastic time, and it is all thanks to our friends at Canyons Golf up at Park City Mountain Resort, Canyonside, Canyons Golf. We love it. We'll be there today. We play there every Saturday and Sunday morning at 7 a.m. We would love to have you come out. So come hit with us next Tuesday in the Memorial up at Canyons Golf. I think it is going to be a wonderful, wonderful time. Truck Stop Gumby says, I don't live in Salt Lake City, though. Do you golf? Do you golf?
I mean, certainly there are someone in this chat can play around on Tuesday. Somebody.
Yeah. It'll be awesome. Clint Mose says, I knew it was caused by golf.
Well, everything in life is caused by golf, dude.
Golf is the beginning and the end. It's that simple. Bob Holsey, who's been a little frisky lately. Pack needs to do a deal with the Saudis.
This is fucking America.
What do you mean? No, they don't.
Saudi stooge.
West Virginia Mountaineer Lair with Kenny says, hey, Jakey Two Holes.
Hey, guys.
Hi, how are you? Elaine Tran says, I boycott golf because of the Saudis.
Well.
Okay, that's fine. Bob says they need 2 ringers. Well, I mean, if you golf well, that would be amazing. Chester Copperpot, have you asked San Diego State and SMU to play with you? Well, that would be a non-conference event. And
excuse me, it's non-con, please.
Yeah,
it's a non-con.
Non-con, thank you. Non-con. Derek Myrie says, hello. Good to see you as well. Elaine Tran says the Pac-12 lost their P5 once USC and UCLA went to the Big Ten.
Nah.
I think when you have Oregon, Stanford, Cal, and Washington and Utah, you're fine.
Yeah.
You still have the Arizona schools. You're fine. You have the state schools in Oregon and Washington. I think you're fine. If you lose even one more team, I think you're completely destabilized.
Yeah.
And if that team is Colorado, I think you're destabilized.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you lose, and again, our sources have told us that the TV deal in the Pac-12 is going to be $19.7 million is the exact number we heard multiple times. If it is, and let's round that up to $20 million. Our sources have told us it'll be $20 million in the Pac-12. You're going to lose half the conference.
Mm-hmm.
I am as convinced as I have ever been with that.
Yeah.
You will lose half the conference. There's no doubt about that. Big 12, Patrick. What's up, Patrick Bourne? $22.5 million. Add dilution for expansion and unequal revenue. This whole, and what's the right way to say this? I think this whole thing of unequal expansion or unequal revenue and expansion leading to unequal revenue, like, it's bad business, dude.
Do you understand that unequal revenue is already a thing? Like, conferences have been doing this. It's not like, oh, well, the conference's TV deal, like in the Mountain West. Hey, everyone gets $4 million. Yeah, except for Boise State, who gets more money because they're Boise State, and Fox has the rights, right? And then CBS has the right. Like, dude, like, it's never been, hey, every school gets the same amount. That's just how much money you're getting from the TV side.
And we hear about this. San Diego State's probably the best example of this. So San Diego State right now is making $4 million a year from their TV media rights deal from their grant of rights in the Mountain West. Let's say you go to the Pac-12. What is enough money to make a move and to completely humiliate yourself the way that San Diego State has? What is enough money to move off your $4 million slot in the Mountain West? Well, it probably doesn't take a whole lot more. If you got $10 million.
Yes, you're going.
You're going.
Absolutely,
you're going. So let's say the TV deal is $20 million. And you're San Diego State, you're going to take a $10 million payday. How long are you willing to take half as much as the rest of the conference? That's a big question. Is it 5 years? Is it the duration of the TV contract?
But that feels like an item that is like, hey, it depends on your perspective on it if you're San Diego State. Because if you're San Diego State, you really shouldn't be saying to yourself, oh, well, how long are we going to be pigeonholed and doing a horrible TV revenue thing? What you should be saying is, hey, yeah, we upgraded, bro. We added 6-7 milli to our books just on a baseline, and that's probably going to go up because of the college football playoff. So if you're bringing in, let's say, 14 million after Oregon and Utah make an appearance, even Washington may make an appearance in the college football playoff. We haven't even talked about the basketball bracket, not that the Pac is strong in that area, but let's say that someone just happened to, let's say it's San Diego State, because I know San Diego State has a great basketball program all of a sudden. Let's say that they make another run this coming season. Well, now you're going to make more money. So that's what I'm saying. Like, let's not sit around and kid ourselves, San Diego State fan. You're at 4 million right now. If you got 10, now you're bumping up to probably 15-ish after it's all said and done. I just don't know what you're complaining about. Well, like literally, what are you complaining about? Straight path to the college football playoff if you can put a quality product on the field. You're in a P5 now, right? So you're automatically eligible. You're good to go. So I just don't understand what. Like, San Diego State fan has always been kind of salty on this topic, and I'm just saying, hey, if you were to get into the Pac-12, yeah, the embarrassment is what it is, but now you're making a ton more money. So what are we complaining about?
Yeah, a ton, and the answer is I don't know. But this is the great conundrum with San Diego State. San Diego State's in a position of leverage with the Pac-12 because. Is there anybody watching this show who can envision the Pac-12 not adding San Diego State?
No.
I don't know how that could happen. How are you? The only way that they don't add San Diego State is if the conference implodes, and I'm not convinced the conference is going to implode.
This case
I'm not convinced that the Pac-12 is disappearing. I do not buy into the fact that it won't be here.
The opposite of full.
I don't buy into that. I think in one way, shape, or form, or another, the Pac-12 is going to exist. Will that be with 8 teams? Will that be 12 teams that are AAC members? Will that be Tulane and SMU? I don't know. But what I do know is I don't believe this conference disappears.
Yeah.
I think it will look vastly different.
Yeah.
I think there's no doubt about that. The money is too great in other places. The grass is too green for a lot of these powerhouse universities to hang around. On Twitter, arguing with an SMU fan. Nobody's insulting SMU. Nobody. But I'm just telling you, it doesn't matter what Craig James and Eric Dickerson did on the football field at SMU. It has no place in the conversation of who's more worthy of a Pac-12 bid, SMU versus Tulane.
You are what you are.
Yeah, it doesn't fucking matter what Eric Dickerson did all those years ago. It just doesn't matter. The scandal, frankly, that gutted SMU athletics doesn't matter. We're talking about, well, but it's true. We're talking about today going forward. It just doesn't matter. Dude, do you bring academics? Do you bring AAU? Do you bring research? And do you bring significant dollars attached to all three of those? Oh, you don't? Okay, then we're probably not going to add you.
No.
It'd be nice if SMU was, hey, we own the Dallas Metroplex. We bring millions of viewers. We have AAU status. We have research. We're an institution of higher learning. Problem is, you're not, and you don't. I mean, that's just a reality of it. So we can sit here and we could talk about the fact that, hey, SMU plays in Tulane plays in a 4,000-seat basketball stadium. Because that's what SMU fans are hanging on to. And I'm telling you, that and the crime in Louisiana is what SMU fans are hanging on. I'm not even. If you go look at the tweets,
there's no crime.
Go look at the Twitter conversations. Go look at the fact that people are like, oh, yeah, there's crime. Oh, God, New Orleans is crime-ridden. Okay, but do you think that Palo Alto, California, which is the home of Stanford University, dude, do you understand that 3 blocks away, and this is not a joke, 3 blocks away from Stanford is one of the largest Hells Angels clubhouses, and they control a 3-block area there. Do you think anybody cares in the Big Ten that the Hells Angels have a clubhouse just off of the campus at Stanford in East Palo Alto? Do you think anybody cares? They don't even fucking know. They don't care. So this idea and this crime can't add crime. Oh, please. They're in San Francisco,
This is fucking
bro.
America.
The Pac-12 is headquartered in San Francisco. Have you seen downtown? Have you seen Union Square these days? Crime. What do we like? This is what we do. This is what we do.
Yeah.
This is what we do.
Yes, it
hey, big shout out to Giggity. He gave us 5 memberships today.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go, Gig. Appreciate you very much. Thank you. Man, there is a lot of people talking about this. I'm telling you, the biggest problem that I have is we can't have civil conversations. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest problem I have. John Teal, if SMU is so bad, why not tag it with Rice? Well, I don't think anybody thinks SMU is so bad.
It's not a good or bad conversation.
No.
It's, hey, do you check these boxes or do you not check these boxes? Right? Again, AAU, relevancy in your market, footprint size, there's a lot of boxes to check, but that's the things you're looking at. I mean, it goes without saying that SMU football is not Oregon football. Right?
Correct.
No one's disputing that. And no one's saying that SMU sucks because they're not on a P5 level.
Correct.
No one's saying that. So it's not really a good or bad thing. It's more like, hey, bro, are you in the AAU group or are you not? Number one, if you want to join the Pac-12, right? That's why Arizona State was so hot to trot, right? So then Ray Anderson could go on a podcast and make an ass of himself again, right? That's what ASU does. Right, but again, the point is that when you're looking around at potential expansion candidates, and this goes for the Big 12 too, man. The UConn situation with the Big 12, hell, even Gonzaga's situation with the Big 12. You look at these different factors, and everyone got all tripped up, like Gonzaga in the Big 12. They got all tripped up that Gonzaga doesn't play football. How the hell are you going to add Gonzaga? They don't play football. Unequal revenue sharing. Oh my God, it's like, dude. Chill. It works perfectly. Hey, basketball and all the other sports Gonzaga plays, they're going to roll those into the Big 12. And then, by the way, Gonzaga is going to be happy taking half a share because that's a massive pay raise. And by the way, they understand, hey, we don't play football. We know we don't play football,
Correct.
but we're damn good in basketball. And that's our value.
And again, I say, why is Rice more valuable than SMU? Not because Rice is AAU. Rice is a power institution of higher learning, right? With all due respect, is it better than SMU? I don't think it's better than SMU. Why are they more qualified for Pac-12 membership? They are. Rice is more qualified because, again, it's public information. Go look at the list of AAU members. Anybody on that list that is a major athletic department is going to be qualified more than SMU because SMU's not on that list.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. You're not adding MIT to the Pac-12 as some, snarky little fellow.
Grifters
said, Elaine Tran said Rice is the Harvard of the South with Tulane. Hey, could be. Lokeman said AAU is kind of the NCAA of academics. It's kind of sus. It's not sus at all. It's like a qualification. It's a box on your resume that
I really don't care if you think it's sus.
And again, and I know this is where we tend to derail the train daily on this show.
Right, yeah.
The Pac-12 cares far more about academics than athletics. Yeah! I know. I'm not saying I do. I'm not saying I agree or disagree, but I understand it.
We're on to Cincinnati.
I understand it. The Pac-12 and its institutions are not, they are more concerned with your successful research grants than they are with your softball team. That's why I think so many people don't understand the decision making in the conference, because they are making decisions on academics, and you're trying to figure out win percentages of the coach from 1976 to 1992.
You fucking donkey.
You knock yourself out, man.
You're not going to get a nickel for Buddy's retirement party,
You're
okay?
not.
They're worried about pencils in the classroom, all right? Just get it straight.
Tanner says, what does Rice bring? Right? Well, athletically, Rice brings a hell of a baseball team. They bring an incredible law department. They bring AAU standing. Now, you know what they don't bring? Alumnus and a huge enrollment. They're the size of a grain of sand. And what are they? North Houston. It's a tiny university with a tiny footprint that happens to be powerful academically.
Yeah.
Bottom line. It is that, but that's to me. Patrick Bourne, Pack is going on the Atkins diet, prepared to drop some schools. Maybe. I don't know when that's going to happen. Dude, if you'd have told me we'd be at the summer solstice and we wouldn't have a Pac-12 TV deal, I'd have told you teams would have left already.
That's an issue.
It's June 21st and we don't have a TV deal. How?
Yeah, I don't know.
How?
I don't know.
You know how? It's pure incompetence. Pure incompetence. Jay Chapman, how are you? The Pac-12 isn't even expanding. It's replacing at best.
I agree.
And I understand that we're all anticipating the death of the Pac-12.
The doom.
Breaking news on CNN.
That's fucking interesting, man.
The Pac-12's not dead yet.
Yet being the key word.
They're the lady knocking on her coffin at her funeral.
Right.
Did you guys see that, by the way? Lady's in her coffin and she's knocking. And I said to my wife, obviously we don't know the whole story because in your funeral home you don't have embalming fluid, so you just threw this hoe in her coffin and I'd assume she'd wake up if you started trying to drain the blood from her body. Right?
This case is empty.
Riley O'Brien, how the heck are you? He says, by the way, whey protein. Whey protein isolate, by the way.
Okay.
Clint Mose says Tulane has top-tier uniform color combos.
I agree.
Hugely important to the academics.
Totally, dude.
Huge. The green wave.
Roll up in the green wave in the classroom, dog.
Oh, my God. Jacob DeLambo says Gonzaga is guaranteed a Sweet 16. That's why they have an invitation to the Big 12. Nobody wants to listen to us.
Gonzaga.
Nobody wants to listen to us.
I like Gonzaga.
Nobody. It's just little old Monty, the hacks
Good
on
old
YouTube.
Monty.
Hey, Marlon Shaw gifted us 10 memberships.
Here we go. Let me pull it out. Hang on. All right. Hey, here we go.
Thank you, Marlon Shaw. Thank you, Giggity. We have 15 memberships on the board today. If you're not a member of the show, get after it. We appreciate all of our members. You guys make the show possible. Your money goes right into our greens fees. So
Sorry if you're offended by that.
I wish it did. The remodel of the studio that's coming very shortly, you're going to see where your membership money goes.
Yes, you are.
You will see where your membership goes. Sam J says, thank you, Marlon. I already read that one from Tanner. And that is why the Pac Athletics are down. Well, Pac Athletics are not down. This is a fallacy. Pac Athletics are not down. I could argue the Pac-12 was the second best football conference in the country last year.
Yep. Everyone forgets about Oregon State. It's a 10-win football program.
And by the way, if TCU backslides, because again, I know Oregon's good. I know Washington's good. I'm telling you, that team up in Salt Lake City has the best defensive line in the conference, and nobody wants to listen to me on that. I'm warning you, the Utah Utes have one of the best defenses in the country.
Yeah.
And Cam Rising and Brand Keithy are back offensively, and that offense is always going to go as Cam Rising goes.
Yep.
They have a chance to three-peat in the conference. It's going to be next to impossible because I think USC is just absolutely going to come and stomp on your balls every single Saturday.
They're going to stomp on your balls.
Yeah, and they're going to wear long. Not anymore. Not after the USC game, you don't. But I'm telling you, it's going to be very difficult to beat USC. But them boys up in Salt Lake City, they have a phenomenal defensive line. Not good. I mean, phenomenal. Phenomenal. I'm telling you, it's going to be Truck Stop Gumby. The Monty Showgrum is AAU. Yes, it is.
Facts.
Yes, it is.
Sources.
West Virginia Mountaineer Lair. Your name's Kenny. Yes, there are massive stadiums brings money. Okay. Randy Cole, this is awesome. Usually you are on at 5 p.m. Absolutely love listening to both of you. You are both incredibly intelligent and thought-provoking. Thanks. But nothing about how good-looking I am.
When is parade?
When is parade?
Yeah, because we're the best.
I hate that drop.
When is parade?
Lance Butters, thanks for the membership. Outside the echo chamber, it's sus in a good old line boy club. Okay, good old boy club. It could be
sure,
sus.
Man. Sure.
Kyle A., I'm a little bit shocked UNLV doesn't get a little more attention. Bigger market, playing in NFL stadium. Invest money into the school and athletics and may greatly improve. But here's the problem. And I know we just talked about this yesterday. Where's the saturation point in Las Vegas? Because you already have major college football not named. You get big games there. BYU Notre Dame at Allegiant last year. You already have the NFL, sort of, with the Raiders. I mean, they're in the NFL, but, you know. So you already have the NFL. We're already getting major college football games, major college bowl games. You're already winning Stanley Cups with the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the LGVs. You're already getting a baseball team. I think it's just a matter of time that you have an NBA team. How many people are going to support UNLV athletics? Pac-12 or your mom's house? Like,
yeah,
I don't see it.
UNLV game or NBA game?
And by the way, how many administrators want to bring their kids to Vegas to play UNLV?
Wow.
Because that conversation's gone round and round as well,
Yeah.
which I think, God forbid, you should have to parent your kids, right? But
Yeah.
I think it's a conversation.
Yeah, Vegas is tough because it's just such a different type of market. Like, it's not a traditional city where you've got this established population. It's more like Las Vegas itself is very much a commuter town. Absolutely. Obviously that's what that town's been built on for decades. And I think what Vegas is trying to do is reach out into the Hendersons of the world and bring those people in more, give them more reasons to come into the city, right? Like there was a wave of Californians that moved to the areas like Henderson and other areas around Las Vegas and Nevada there. And I think Las Vegas just wants to bring more of those people. They understand that, hey, if we can get the established, like, committed community person to be in our town more, that's going to help us. But again, I think it's a great point. If you're UNLV, and really, if you're the Pac-12 looking at teams, why would you add UNLV when they've got to compete with all these other teams and all these other opportunities? Yeah. We haven't even talked about all the shows and all the casino business. I mean, again, if you said to someone, hey, UNLV game, it's 2 o'clock kickoff today, let's say, just randomly, 2 o'clock kickoff. Yeah, well, see, the thing is, I got a 5 o'clock tip-off in the NBA tonight, and I was hoping to go play some slots, and, like, you understand why it isn't necessarily the best fit. And
the gambling issues that are pervasive now in the NFL, I don't know how many people have heard about this, but the NFL is having massive gambling problems. Like they just reissued gambling rules and regulations to all of the teams in the NFLPA because they've had so many violations. I mean, the Detroit Lions scandal alone. But you're getting multiple players now suspended for gambling, and it's a lot of it is NFL gambling. It's not even like they're betting on college sports. They're betting on NFL games, which is absolutely a no-no, right? Like, I think Vegas, A, is saturated, and B, I think a little bit of that taboo is sneaking back in.
Yeah.
Because freedoms aren't free. We know that, right? Like, you understand that. So I think UNLV, and the other problem is UNLV doesn't really play football. Like, I think it's cool and stuff that they, everybody's like, oh, they play in an NFL stadium. Hey, that's cool, but does UNLV move the needle in college football? They don't.
No.
That is a basketball school, and it's very difficult to rebuild that basketball school.
Yeah.
The best event basketball-wise in Vegas is the NBA Summer League, and it's not close. So, Provo Cougar fan says USC could finish third. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, no. Nope.
I don't know about that. That would be tough. Big 12 Mafia Nathan, to get the membership, do you just click the present icon? You do, I believe. I don't know. I can't claim a membership because it's my channel. Truck Stop Gumby says the Oregon State University.
You know.
It's the Beavs, please. You know. Clint Mose says K-State couldn't beat Tulane at home either. Tulane's good.
Yeah.
Tulane's good. Owen Lovell says click it, then click on the prompt to get it. There you go. There you go. Everybody's saying yes, Big 12. That's how you get a membership. Chad Masters. Chad, hello. Feels like Cam Rising has been at Utah for like 10 years.
You're not wrong, bro.
No, it doesn't. It feels more like 15.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. You know, like it was Travis Wilson was the same way.
Yeah.
At Utah. It felt like Travis was never going to graduate. Already read that one. Let's see. Owen also says Washington is looking like the team to beat in the Pac-12. Penix came back and I think shocked the world. But nobody talks about Utah year in and year out. Nobody talks about them, and then they wind up winning.
Yeah, and then everyone's all surprised.
Kenny says UNLV's a baseball program. Don't disagree with that. You know, Aaron Wilson says BYU was best Big 12 ad. Well, I mean, from a reach, marketing, money-making standpoint, I don't think there's even a question.
Yeah.
Houston and UNLV were the two best, or Houston and BYU were the two best ads. No doubt about it. Two Masters says UNLV is a no, bro. Exactly. Alex says Vegas A's baseball. That whole situation sucks. It absolutely do. Big Daddy Magic says, hey, yo, players, it's almost Victor Day. Best be in suits tomorrow.
It's almost Victor Day.
Man, I thought
Victor's
you were.
the way.
I thought, by the way, Big Daddy Magic, I thought you were going to see Ryan Smith, the owner of the Jazz, today.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Are you going to tell him to come on the show?
Yeah, tell him to come on the showroom, dude.
Come on now. Outside the echo chamber says, talk about dangerous areas, UNLV. I love Vegas. I don't think Vegas is dangerous. Tanner Plummer, the biggest problem with UNLV is their fan base. It's not large and there's not a lot of passion, so they're probably not going to draw a lot of eyeballs. It's a commuter town. UNLV is a commuter university.
And everyone gets all pissy when we roll that term out there, but I just don't know any other way around it. I mean, that's just
Totally
the
agree.
nature of Las Vegas.
Yep, totally agree. The Monty Show, as always, is presented by our good friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com. Utah Advocates, you guys, if you've been in a wreck, you got hurt at work. How many hit-and-run accidents? Know anybody that has been involved in a hit-and-run accident? You know how frustrating it can be.
I was involved in a hit-and-run accident. My chiropractor recommended me to the Advocates. They completely took care of everything. Now that my case has been settled, I feel like I can go back to my normal life, all thanks to the Advocates.
Theadvocates.com, where you never pay a single penny out of pocket. See, because you don't pay the Advocates unless and until they win your case. And they're going to help you defer your medical bills. And they're going to fight for you. They're going to worry about all the things that, you have to worry about so that you can just focus on getting back to the best version of yourself. So they'll fight for your case. They'll deal with the insurance companies. Again, they'll defer your medical bills. And the best part is you can chat with an attorney live online for free right now. Go do it right now. Chat with an attorney online, 24/7, theadvocates.com. Welcome in. John Teal gives us $2 to say UNLV has won 10-win season since 1980. But again, you guys,
You can't be biased like that. You have to really look at the whole picture.
as far as the Pac-12 goes, on-field achievement, I am not even uncomfortable saying it's meaningless. Now, if you're Georgia and you're like, hey, we'd like to join the Pac-12. You're like, well, hell yeah, come on over. But is UNLV? No, it's not. And there's not a P5 program who's like, listen, I've got to get to the Pac-12 today. Mm-hmm. Like, that's not happening. So they can afford to be selective because really, what's the difference between UNLV, SMU, Rice? Like, what's really the difference?
Yeah, there's
not a huge spread between all the schools we're talking about. There really isn't. Like that. I mean, that's just my opinion. Truck stop Gumby. I got hurt reaching for my beer, dude. Yesterday,
bro, that was rough yesterday.
I have a huge. Are you guys ready for this? This is. I should probably change the story so I don't sound or feel so dumb. Who are you talking to, man?
Just looking at people sending me tweets.
I hit my head going to the bathroom yesterday.
You guys ever done that? Like, you ever been somewhere, you're doing something, like everyone's done it, I have to imagine, where it's like, hey, I'm doing something, taking a dump, fixing something under the sink, and you just hit your head, and you're just like, ow, bro, that hurts so bad.
Don't fuck.
Yeah, right? Like,
I usually use, and this is too much, I use the same crapper in this building every day.
Okay.
There's one in particular, so I'm very familiar with the surroundings.
Here I am.
That particular crapper was occupied by another human, so I was like, no, dude. I need to put the visual out of my head for the day. I walk all the way to a different one in a tiny stall. It's a tiny stall. And the door is like right here in front of me. And it's got one of those coat hooks on it that sticks out like a hard metal coat hook. I stood up to pay homage to the great work that I had done.
He has our full respect.
Dude, I stood up and whacked my head on that coat hook.
Ow!
I think I almost knocked myself unconscious.
Ow!
I'm not even kidding. Like, I have a huge knot on the top of my head. And when you hit your head and you hear that, like,
it really hit me.
Oh, dude. That was terrible. All right, I'm going to move on because this is embarrassing. Elaine Tran says, love Vegas. Tanner says, Vegas is an awesome town. It is, absolutely. Talking with Raphael podcast on BYU Radio. Says, and relegation in the NCAA would be better. Oh, my God. I would love relegation. I would. Lokman says, you hit your head taking a dump. I did. Use the wheelchair stall next time.
We all know the wheelchair stall hack.
It was being used. I could not. And I can't sit on the same throne as another dude in the same, I can't do it. I cannot do it.
Soft person tendency.
Jake Gordon says, as a kid, I would always forget my brother's bunk bed was lower, and I would wake up and whack my head every time I woke up. It is,
ow!
And the pain is just like, that pain when you stub your toe or hit your head and you're just rubbing it and you're like, ah!
Yeah.
Dude, it was terrible. It was terrible. Terrible. Sorry, Jeff Bevan. I didn't mean to make you hurl.
Yeah.
Drew Christensen, don't need UNLV. Plenty of P5 games get played in Vegas all the time. That's my point.
Totally agree.
That's my point. Tanner Plummer says, while I was mowing my lawn yesterday, I almost hit my head on a tree in the backyard. So freaking annoying. I cut my grass last night because I set up this at-home hitting net thing for golf.
How's that been?
Spectacular.
Yeah.
My wife's a queen. She let me set up this whole thing. It's been pretty amazing. I got to tell you that. Let's see. Josh says, Las Vegas is an awesome city. Great place it is. It is. But you know what? One of the things I'm interested in is your thoughts on sports on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about this Utah Jazz TV deal in a grand scheme of things. Because look at this number right here. They are projecting that in 2027, so 4 years from now, that just 49.9 million people will have cable or satellite TV in their homes.
Right.
4 years ago, that was 100 million people. So wholly half of the existing televisions that are paying for service are going to cut the cord. That's a shocking number to me. And one of the things I found so interesting was talking about this Utah Jazz TV deal. People, I thought it was a home run. If you didn't hear about it, and if you're not in Utah or you're not familiar with it, the Jazz just did a TV deal where they're not using a regional sports network. They're not using Bally's. They're not using Fox Sports in your mom's house, none of that. They're going to be on a small local channel owned by Sinclair, who, by the way, is a regional sports network monster with the Cubs. They're going to be on KJazz TV in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
But they're also going to stream every one of their games on a platform that they are currently building and branding. And they are going to have a number, and now that number has been wildly bandied about.
Right.
They're going to charge you a certain number for the entire season so you can stream every game that's not on TNT or ESPN and ABC. Let's say that number is $200 a year. You get every game. Would you pay that number? Think about your favorite team, whatever your favorite NFL, whatever your favorite, like I'm a Chicago guy. If you said to me you can watch every single Chicago Cub game for $200 a year, I'm in. Oh, wait, I already have that. Right? I already have that with the MLB package.
Yep.
So the question is, if your local team said to you, hey, you can watch every one of our games on your phone for $200 a year, are you willing to pay that? And I think internally, I'm told by Utah Jazz sources, they're trying to figure out what the exact right number is. We've heard all kinds of crazy numbers from $100 a year for every game to $500 a year for every game. And they're also going to give you exclusive content. You're going to buy something, similarly branded to, hey, the Utah Jazz Pass gets you every game and all of their exclusive behind-the-scenes content.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. And I would guess for those of you that live in Salt Lake City, if Ryan Smith said every one of our games will be on KJazz or you can pay us $500 to watch it on stream, wouldn't you, as a Jazz fan, and Jake, I don't know your opinion on this,
yeah,
but wouldn't you just watch on KJazz if you lived in Salt Lake City?
Yeah, if you live in Salt Lake City, you're just going to watch on KJazz. And I think that, when any organization, Jazz or like the Pac-12, whoever the hell it is, you have to understand supply and demand. So if you're going to put your product on KJazz, which it used to be on, in this last TV deal it was not, but before that it was. So you're doing this great thing where you're bringing Jazz fans back to how it used to be with KJazz, Delta Center, purple uniforms. Like, you're doing all these great things to kind of stroke the heartstrings of Jazz fans, if you will. But the problem is that being that it's going to be free on KJazz, you're not making any money on that. And so you have to find a way to make your money back, right? And monetize your TV distribution. So how do you do that? Well, you do it through sales. And this is the model that I've been preaching for the Pac-12. And I hope that the Utah Jazz, in this case, are aggressive about sales, selling into your product. But here's the beautiful thing, and this is the thing I think people don't understand. If you're going to charge, $200, let's say, or whatever that number winds up being, you have to find balance with that number. So you got to be able to say, okay, for every dollar, that we bring in revenue from paying customers, how much of that dollar do we get to keep? If you are only able to keep, 10 cents of that dollar, you need to sell more. But if you're keeping 90 cents on the dollar, then you're in a great place. So to me, it's like, all right, if you're going to charge, like yesterday on the show, I flat out said, hey, if it was, let's say, $100 a month, I'm not willing to pay that. $100 a season, I'm absolutely willing to pay that. A season is fine. I think you have to understand that, the local person here in Salt Lake is going to watch on KJazz, but that's not why you're doing an app, in my opinion. You're not doing an app for exclusive content. Why are you doing an app? You're doing an app so that you can reach Buddy in New York, so that you can reach the person in the Philippines that wanted to watch Jordan Clarkson last year.
And so that it can be brought to you by Delta. Mm-hmm. So that your app is presented by a major brand sponsor that's going to pay you millions of dollars a year for that. Mm-hmm. That's why you're doing a platform, right? And I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think. I am at my max for wanting to pay for new content platforms.
Well, it's a challenge, isn't it?
It is
like
very
the
much.
DirecTV thing. Hey, everyone's cutting the cord. Well, what does that mean? Well, you got to pay for like 15 different platforms. That's the problem. So it's like, okay, I can be on DirecTV as an example, and I can have basically everything under the sun there, but I don't get Amazon or Netflix or, in this case, a Utah Jazz app or whatever your team is. That's the problem.
That is the problem. And I think when you're struggling to figure out financially and listen, if it's taking brain power, maybe it's time to pop a buckshot from Bucked Up.
Dude.
Maybe that's what this is, because when you hit that buckshot, it gives you all day long-lasting clean energy to carry you home. Down the hatch, it tastes amazing. I'm a huge fan of buckshot. I tell you this every day. As somebody that is continuing to work hard on my weight loss and, losing 30 pounds now, I give a lot of that credit to Bucked Up, because it's products like buckshot that help me sleep better, because I have energy all day long. So I'm not sitting around. I'm not, last night I go home. Am I sitting around the house? No, I'm mowing the grass. I'm hitting golf balls into my net. Like, we're doing all this stuff. It's motivating me to eat better. It's motivating me to get to sleep on time. I was looking at my sleep app this morning when I got up. I slept great. And it's because I have all day energy. And when I'm ready to go to bed, I fall asleep quick. I'm really lucky that way because I've got Bucked Up. And it works. And it's not just energy drinks. Their energy drinks are amazing. Miami is my favorite flavor. And it's zero sugar. I love it, right? But it's things like collagen peptides that help your skin and your hair and gives you more energy. It's things like their amazing protein bars. You guys, I'm telling you, in the description below, not only can you get free buckshot, but the Buck Bars, this is what you want to be focused on. I'm telling you, Buck Bars are the best protein bars I've ever had. And I hate protein bars. I usually only used one. I had found the one bar that I liked. Mm-hmm. And so I ordered it on Amazon because it's the only bar that I really was ever able to eat. And the Buck Bar just smashes it because it tastes good. But look at the ingredients. Whey protein isolate, dates for sweetener. So you're not getting full sugar and you're not getting crappy ingredients. You're getting good, clean, really meaningful ingredients that help you. And when I say help you, it makes you feel fuller. It means that you're not hungry all the time. It means that you don't, I don't eat after 3 o'clock generally. Sometimes, depending on what I'm doing, maybe I'll have a small snack for dinner. But most days, I don't eat dinner on a regular basis. I don't eat volume. That's the other thing that Bucked Up has really helped me with. I'm not as hungry, so I don't eat as much food when I do eat. I'm telling you, Bucked Up is not just about energy. They're about a lifestyle change. Don't take my word for it. Get in the description below on this show, whether you're listening on audio podcast, and bless you if you are. Love all of our listeners on Spotify. Hey, if you guys are listening on audio podcast, if you're listening on YouTube and watching the show, get in the description below. There's a link to get the Buck Bars. They're going to send a sampler pack for free to your front door. Get 6 buckshot samples sent right to your front door. And if you're ready to go head in and you need some protein or you need some collagen or you want whatever it is you need at buckedup.com, use the promo code Monty to get 20% off at checkout. Bucked Up, the official energy provider of the Monty Show. Lokeman says the Pac-12 could have took Big 12 teams when they had the chance. No sympathy. They could have. They could have. Jake Gordon says, Monty, what sleep app do you use? Just the one on my iPhone. Just the one on my iPhone. And
the one that comes with it.
Yeah, it gives you a pretty good look. It's in the health app.
Yeah.
It gives you a pretty good look. Brian O'Hara. Brian, how are you? Mid-size and smaller cable systems are selling YouTube TV because they want to be internet suppliers, not just program deliveries. Excellent point.
Yeah.
I think when you look at, and you all know the solicitations you get, or you look at Comcast as an example. They don't just do TV. They do internet. They do data. They do cloud. They do, because you're not just going to make money on cable anymore because people aren't paying for it.
Yeah.
In my opinion, cable is cost prohibitive. And the thing that I really appreciate about, I'm a DirecTV customer for the last 30 years. I really appreciate DirecTV. They've evolved. I can stream. I can do all this stuff. But I got to tell you, it's not cheap. And I am a YouTube TV guy. It's what we have in the studio. We have it at home as well. I have it on my phone. For me, it's a business expense, so it's a tax write-off as well. There's a lot of reasons to like YouTube TV. I get local channels, all of that. But if the Chicago Cubs said, hey, we have an app you can watch every game for $200 a year, and I get behind-the-scenes stuff, I probably would cut the cable. If there was a One Chicago app where I could watch the Bulls, the Bears, the Hawks, the Cubs, if I could do all of that and just have one app for all the professional teams, dude, give me $500 a year. I'll pay you $500 a year to watch every live sports game for every Chicago team on my phone.
Yeah.
I think that's the wave of the future. And I don't know what, I think some market is going to do that. I don't know who that is. I see that Washington, Ted Leonsis. I see that the Yes Network. It'll never happen in New York because MSG and the Yes Network are completely different and they're rivals. But there's potential for all sports teams to be on one app in one city.
Yeah.
And I'm curious who that's going to be. I'm really curious who that's going to be. And I don't know who that is, but I'm curious. Provo Cougar fan, if cable and satellite companies cut monthly costs, they will increase subscribers. If the cable and satellite companies allow a la carte shopping, they will increase subscribers. They will adapt or die. But here's the problem.
Yeah.
Is you don't have a declining cost of content. You know, like if you look at the shows you watch on Netflix or the shows you watch on Hulu or whatever app you want to point to.
Yeah.
It's expensive to make that content. We had a meeting the other day with somebody that we're talking to about increasing the distribution of our show. And they were talking about the fact that content is so incredibly expensive that it raises the cost to the end user. And so I look at this Utah Jazz deal and I say, hey, free on TV, great. What are you going to charge me for that app? Because that content's going to be expensive.
And that's really what's interesting is like I think that you would think that there would be companies out there that would look to partner with, you know, in this case with the Jazz, this company they're starting, SEG Media. If you watched Ryan Smith's video, SEG Media, Smith Entertainment Group Media. And you would think that there would be a company out there that would go in and would say, hey, we know that content is expensive to create, but what we will do is we will undercut the price of that and we will sell it to you cheaper if you commit to us long-term and we build a partnership or we're the exclusive content creator for you. And so then that would put the Jazz in this case in a position to sell that content for a lower price and do more numbers. Because that's the name of the game, right? Hey, we want to drive the consumer price down as much as we can.
Correct.
So that more consumers buy that content. And so that's why it's shocking to me that we haven't seen more of this. Because I think what's going to happen, this is just my opinion, but I think what's going to happen is the Ryan Smiths of the world, a guy on that level of business, eventually is going to start to catch on to the concept of, hey, if we create great content, if we really lock in and make compelling stuff, and I'm not saying like Netflix level TV show, but if what I'm talking about is like 4K quality, good stories that we're putting into our app, we can sell that to the Deltas of the world as an example, to any number of companies, Adobe, right? Pura, right? Like all these different companies. We can do that and make money. And that's what is surprising to me. Why there's not more partnership around creating video.
Because I think that, and I'm not trying to bash people, there's a lack of talent in this business.
Yeah.
There is a lack of talent in this business. And living in Utah, I cannot tell you the last time I turned on local TV or radio.
It's a plague in this town.
It really is. And it's something I struggle with. Like, I think it is, and this is a Ryan Smith, the owner of the Jazz thing. I mean, he owns the largest sports radio property, right? Oh, yeah, Jeff Bevan. I agree with you. The first guy through the door gets the bloodiest, known as the hero. The Jazz and Sons are going to take a beating at first, but it will pave the way for better for the consumer. I totally agree.
But I don't think they have to take that beating. They're only going to take that beating because they're getting greedy on the pricing.
I totally agree.
They don't have to take a beating. What they need to do, if we're going to work in have to do's, what they have to do is find a way to drive the price down and still be as profitable as they'd like to be. That's what they have to do.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see how all of this plays out. Because I think when you look at and specific to the Utah Jazz, but look at your local sports market.
Yeah.
Wherever you're watching the show from across the country today. If you listen to sports radio in your town, how much do you really enjoy it? Or are you listening because it's the only thing you have? Because I only subscribe to Sirius XM radio because there's no sports radio in Salt Lake City, which is where I currently live. There's no sports radio here.
And it might sound crazy, right? Hey, two guys that do a show want to listen to sports talk. You guys already do sports talk. Well, actually, yeah, compelling sports talk for us is enjoyable. The problem is there's a severe shortage of it.
And I usually will listen to New York or Chicago through an app because everybody's sports talk shows are on apps now. I will listen to that on my phone, or I'll listen to Howard, or I'll listen to ESPN Radio. But even the national guys, like, I just think we've done such a bad job developing sports talk in this country that we rely on guys like, Shit Bayless and Screaming A. Smith. Like, That's the problem. Like, you look at the money that Shannon Sharp just got to go to FanDuel TV. Like, how compelling, how entertaining really is Shannon Sharp?
Have we ever seen Shannon on his own?
I have never seen that.
Never seen him as a primary.
It's really hard for me to understand. And again, you know what I think it is? It's the cost of the content. It's the cost of the content. I look at Craig Carton at the Fan in New York.
Another great story.
Craig Carton, fresh out of jail, became one of the highest paid talents in the city of New York because people will listen. Guy goes to jail on a huge, I believe it was a gambling beef, goes to jail on a gambling beef, gets out of jail, goes right back to WFAN, just left WFAM, probably the dream job for most sports radio people, to go to Fox Sports. Like, it's amazing to me.
For what?
I cannot remember. I don't know that I've ever listened to Fox Sports Radio. And I don't watch Fox Sports on TV.
The only time we ever listened to it was back in the day for Colin. But I can't listen to Colin now.
No, Colin's changed.
Like I'm talking about years ago.
And also, why do you think Pat McAfee's such a big deal?
Well,
Pat McAfee's such a big deal because he's young, he's hip, he's aggressive. It's crazy to me how much we just don't develop local talk shows anymore. How much we don't have local talk shows in the community doing stuff. Like when we did the Real Salt Lake thing a couple weekends ago, our local people here in Salt Lake City were thrilled with it. Like, we had a great time just hanging out. 9 out of 10 of us didn't even watch a game.
Yeah.
We were like sitting there just chopping it up, having a good time, talking about life, man.
But I think that part of it is what's so lacking.
Yes.
Like, I think, like, we can sit here all day and, bash Salt Lake radio or Chicago radio or whatever. Like, we can do that. But but my thing is that even if you're somebody who doesn't do a great show, you do a show that people will listen to, but they're not enamored by. If you personalize it and make it fun, people are going to stay. Because ultimately, why do we all listen, including myself? I listen to product that's easy to listen to and that I can stay connected with. That the topic has to be compelling, and it has to be something that I can relate to a little bit. Something that I won't feel lost on. And I feel like so often in radio now, and even in other spoken word product too, I see it on YouTube all the time. We're just talking about whatever we want to talk about. We're just having conversations that are surface level, just kind of show up and turn the show on type thing. And you can't do that anymore. So when I look at the Utah Jazz's app and this new TV distribution package they're rolling out, I love the innovation in it. I love pushing the envelope. I love the direction they're taking. Absolutely, I'm about it.
Yep.
At the same time, that content damn well better be compelling, and it better be worth people's money, because if it's not, they're not going to pay for it.
And I think that's the biggest issue. Content anymore is expensive and it's boring. Like it is. I don't know many people here locally in Utah that listen to local radio. Tanner Plummer says ESPN 960 is the most notable sports outlet in Utah County, and it's unbearable. Everyone there are massive homers. So my sports talk radio is basically YouTube and podcasts that involve all my favorite teams. I think that's where a lot of us are at.
Yeah, I think that's
a lot of us are that. Truck Stop Gumby says my local sports talk is Poodoo. That's not good. Chad Master says, yeah, sports talk here in Fresno is basically 1 2-hour local show and the rest are national. That's rough, dude. B says, lived in Vegas for 27 years and the locals only give support to winning teams. The A's and UNLV will have to earn it on the field first. Then the support will come. Well, I think, it's interesting you bring up the A's. Will the A's actually spend money and try to win games when they're in Las Vegas? Because for how many years now have they just flatly admitted they're not trying to win games.
And is that a motivation of wanting to leave, or is that because you just are trying to profit?
I think it's because they're not making money on the Coliseum in Oakland.
Yeah.
I think that's been a huge problem. It's just
I do think it's a pretty bad look, even for the richest of rich. I think it's a bad look to go to a new building and lose.
Giggity says, I only listen to you guys for sports. Not many great options in Phoenix. No, I would agree with that. Elaine Tran says ESPN Plus is annoying to watch. Why, Elaine? What do you mean?
Yeah.
I actually like ESPN Plus a lot. Jeff Bevan says there's no reason for 24/7 Jazz content. Put on the reruns of syndicated TV shows at other times. Give me quality pregame, game, and postgame show and 30 minutes behind-the-scenes stuff, and I'm good. Ooh. Interesting.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, Jeff, I'm not saying you're wrong. I just disagree. I think... And this is the real problem with it, too. It's a philosophical conversation. It's not, hey, what color is the sky?
And it's not a right or wrong thing.
Yeah, it's a philosophical conversation. My philosophy and our philosophy on video is if you're going to do it, it has to be grade A. It just has to be.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you're going to do video, you can't do just a little bit of it. You can't do it like once in a while. It is an all or nothing proposition, which people seemingly don't understand. And that's the problem is like, philosophically speaking, there is major things to be gained through this app, but there are also major losses to be had if you do not do it right.
But if you have a personality that's the face of the Utah Jazz and not Holly Rowe.
Another conversation piece.
Not Holly Rowe.
Please.
Not Craig Bolerjack. Like, find me somebody young
not
and hip.
in-game, dude.
No,
Please, save us.
Not your in-arena announcers. Like, and the guy that's in their portfolio already, again, I'm a huge Ben Anderson advocate. Find somebody like Ben who's got personality, who knows the game, who knows the team, that can build relationships with players so he can go to their house and drive to the arena with them, so that he can, have good conversations that bring depth out. With Jordan Clarkson, when Jordan Clarkson's talking about, hey, it doesn't, I can pick up stakes and move somewhere else. I need somebody in this town to go to Jordan Clarkson and say, well, why? What do you mean by that? How easy would it be to leave here? But there's nobody that can do that. And that's what the Jazz need. It's what you always say. We need Danny Ainge on the phone making the Donovan Mitchell trade.
And I think all these
we need that on video.
Dude, all these comments we're getting today about, hey, the sports talk radio in my town is full of homers. That's the other piece of the video content. You can't just do video content that's positive and sunshine and roses all the time. You can't do that.
But you can do Joe Ingles and Jordan Clarkson 6th Man of the Year. You can do Walker Kessler Awards. You can do, there's moments for that stuff. That's the Homer feel stuff. But when you're doing the Jazz absolutely should do a docuseries during the season.
I need Will Hardy riding these guys during training camp, dude.
Yes.
I need villain Will Hardy on tape. I need, Colin Sexton is working his ass off because he knows he's on the trade block.
What I need is, think back to the recent Jazz history. I need Rudy Gobert yelling and screaming in the locker room. Because that's what we were told happened.
You know what we need? I need a camera sitting just to the left of Rudy Gobert when he touched all those mics. That's what I need.
Yes.
I need that type of angle.
That type of intimacy. Damn. I need that type of intimacy, embedded closeness.
Yeah.
With the Jazz.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's easy, but Derek says, I'm on 97.5 Sports in Utah quite often. Those guys are easy to listen to. Yeah, I wish I could agree with you. I really struggle with 97.5, the Zone Sports Network. Their morning show is two old dudes. It's two guys in their 70s talking sports.
Everyone's always like, oh, well, you guys are never going to say anything nice about them because you're competition. I actually don't think they're competition to us. I think our product is completely different. And I'm not even interested, like I said, I'm not interested in having some bashing conversation because I don't view them as competition. I can honestly sit here and tell you guys, I put serious time in my car into listening to them. I know the product. I know what they like to talk about. I know where they lack in their conversation points. I know where they're really good. I know before Hans Olsen, as an example, I know what Hans is strong on, what he's not. And I love the fact that he joined up with BYU. I love that partnership. I think that was brilliant, right? But at the same time, I look at radio and I say, dude, how long is it going to take before radio in this town picks up on the fact that you can't put John Wilner or John Canzano on your show and then go on Twitter and tweet about it and say that this guy's a reliable source? Because, again, he's not a reliable source. And it's not just us saying that anymore. Because there's a lot of times for us in this market where we'll say something and everyone will get all outraged. Oh, my God, you guys just hate this or hate that. Or like with Rudy Gobert. You guys just hate Rudy Gobert. A year later, he gets traded and everyone's like, yeah, turns out you guys didn't hate Rudy. You guys are just spot on with the situation. We see that all the time. And I feel like with radio, they're in a position where they're leveraged so they can't tell an honest story. And I see all these comments today about, hey, my local station is full of homer takes. They're not honest. And I look at this Jazz situation or the MSG situation or even Yes Network, even Marquee Network for the Cubs. I look at these different networks and I say, dude, if you're going to do content, you at least have to toe the line of saying something negative about your organization. I'm not saying you got to rip your organization. I don't even expect the Jazz to do that. But I got to at least see like some semblance of honesty about what's happening in a situation. If you want to cut some things out or like massage it, totally get it. But it can't just be, man, we're the best, everything's great all the time. When you know, like let's say that this coming season you fall short of expectations for whatever reason. I think they will overachieve again. But let's just say this coming season you fell short. I got to see the struggle. The struggle is what everyday dude relates to. Like I need to see rehab like Joe Ingles back in the day. Well, if Joe Ingles was in your weight room,
I totally agree.
Rehabbing his ACL, I want to see it, dude. I need this stuff.
Yeah, and I think you need it. I absolutely think you need it. Sean Mierzinski, I used to listen to ESPN LA and lost interest. Ooh, that hurts. The A's have been a cheap franchise since Connie Mack. Yeah, but they've won. They have won, and it's awfully difficult to argue with the A's and the success that Moneyball and that Billy Beane had there. Tanner Plummer, is Billy Beane still with the A's? Forgive me, I'm casual when it comes to baseball. Yeah, I think he's a vice president, executive vice president. Riley O'Brien just keeps saying, by the way. W-H-E-Y.
What are you talking about, my guy?
What are you doing, Riley?
Yeah, what are you doing, bro?
Jake Gordon, I'll do it. I volunteer.
You'll do what?
You'll do what? Tanner Plummer. Oh, that's right. Holly Rowe is gone. I don't think she's a good person, but I do think she's a good person, but she just doesn't do a good job in adding commentary during games. Is Holly Rowe doesn't work for the Jazz anymore?
I hadn't heard that.
I had not heard that either.
Did we miss that?
I could be wrong. Let's see. Big Daddy Magic says, hey, yo, players, on Friday we should have a nice dream party in celebration, the once-in-a-lifetime. Dude, do we always have to talk about Victor? Big Daddy Magic, is that the only thing? Jake Gordon, I hated Holly's comments during the game. I just wanted to hear basketball chat. Yeah, it gets a little the cackling, as I used to call it. Jeff Bevan, the Raptors had good YouTube content going a couple of years ago where it was weekly vlog type show. I loved it. That's awesome. We'll see. I want to see what the Jazz do. I do like David James. He's kind of a homer, but overall I agree with some of what he says. And yes, he did a great job calling RSL games on TV. He's been doing a good job calling them on radio. I can't listen to it on the radio because he calls RSL's a soccer club in Salt Lake City. He calls those matches like they're on TV. And RSL's unwatchable at certain times. So it's a long story. All right, couple NBA notes I want to get to here on the Monty Show. Of course, all of our NBA programming here on the channel is brought to you by our good friends at TryDayTrading.com. Get to TryDayTrading.com/Monty. I'm telling you guys, if you're watching this at work right now, dreading your boss or dreading the fact you had to go back to the office, dude, you got to get to TryDayTrading.com. Build the independent life that you've been chasing For how many years now? And how long have you been talking about the fact this year I'm going to make more money. I got to make more money. I've tried 50 side hustles and failed. This isn't try a side hustle. This is become an elite day trader and make the money that you deserve, that you've worked so hard for. Stop complaining about your boss. Stop complaining about the commute. Stop complaining about your terrible carpets that you can't afford to replace, and get to trydaytrading.com and sign up for their 10-day, 30-day, or their $10 30-day membership. I have said that wrong every day this week. Their $10 30-day membership at trydaytrading.com. They give you the full deal, dude. For that $10, it's a charity donation. They don't put it in their pocket. They give it to charity. It's a tax write-off for you. B, you get their entire coaching program for $10 for 30 days. So you're going to know exactly what it's about. You're going to know exactly what it entails. You're going to learn their process, their algorithms. You're going to learn the way they do business. And the best part is when you're done with that 30-day trial membership, if it's not for you, walk away from it, man. It costs you $10. How many side hustles have you done that have cost you thousands? Here's one for $10. Make a decision after 30 days, but you got to try it. It's a 30-day, $10 trial membership that will change the rest of your life. And if I said to you, give me $10 and I'll show you your future, would you do it? Well, yeah, of course you would do it. Get to trydaytrading.com/Monty. Sign up for their 10-day membership, their $10 30-day membership. I'm in your head, man. You're in my head. Their 30-day, $10 trial membership, trydaytrading.com/Monty. Make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show. And before I'm done with this, I want to say the same thing I say every day. Did you make $1,000 today? Oh, you didn't? Well, people at trydaytrading.com absolutely make $1,000 day trading every single day. Every single day, you're making $1,000. If I said to you, hey, here's a gig where you can make $52,000, would that be a good side hustle? Would that? Yeah, I think it would be. Right? Hey, here's $50,000. Here's $100,000. Hey, here's think about that, bro. If I said to you make $200 this week, or even today, what if I said to you part-time traders at Tri-Day Trading make a couple $100 a day? They make $1,000 a week. As a side hustle, it's a $52,000 side hustle. What would that money mean to you? Go find out. $10, 30-day membership, trydaytrading.com. No, I was wrong. Holly is still with the Jazz. Yeah.
What are you talking about, dude?
Let's not root for people to get fired.
Yeah.
That is a bad look.
Yeah.
Bad look. Taylor Smith, why are you live right now, boys? Just a little earlier today. Be back at the normal time tomorrow. We appreciate you guys watching.
Had an event come up, had some things come up.
Yeah, we work for ourselves, so we're flexible. Let's talk about Paul George to the Knicks.
Yeah.
So I told you this week on the show, and certain people told me I was out my goddamn mind.
You fucking donkey.
You're fat. You don't know what you're talking about. When I said the Clippers are going to trade Paul George.
It's a mistake.
It doesn't matter. Because I didn't say it was the right thing to do.
No, you're right. You had this, yeah.
Pimp scum pimp, man. You know.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
I'm totally not that guy. But I was telling you earlier this week, I think the Clippers are going to trade Paul George, and I think the Knicks are a big-time player for Paul George. Do you like the way Paul George fits into the Knicks?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, he's that final piece that kind of puts them over the top. I look at Jalen, I look at Julius, you add Paul George to that, hopefully, if they were to do a deal like this, hopefully you can retain Josh Hart, because I think that's a guy that you really need coming off the bench. But yeah, I mean, just on a surface level, I love the idea of Jalen Brunson, Paul George, and Julius Randle. Those three guys combined with role players like Mitchell Robinson, yeah, it's a recipe for success. And I look out east, and there's a lot of teams out east that are a guy or two away from really taking this next jump. And I think, like, you look at Miami. Miami's a team that needs a guy. The Knicks certainly need a guy. You look at everything going on in Charlotte right now. Like, there are a lot of teams like this that are sort of on the hamster wheel of, hey, we need another guy. We need this extra piece. And so, yeah, I look at Paul George, and I maintain I would be keeping Paul George over Kawhi Leonard because I think Kawhi Leonard is uninterested and not motivated to play, and he never has been since he won that championship in Toronto, even before that. But really, that's when I think it got worse. But if you're the Clippers and you think that's the right move, moving Paul George to the Knicks, I guess, is a good trade. But I'd have to see what you're getting back. I mean, is it a heavy pick steal, or is it more, hey, we're getting a guy that's a right-now plug-in that kind of changes the way our offense runs? Like, that's what I would need to see. But on a surface level, yeah, for the Knicks, I love Paul George.
I think it is the topper on the next Sunday. The question is, okay, if you're the Clippers, what do you need to get back from the Knicks to make that deal happen? Obviously, that's going to be a huge question mark because I do think, from what I've heard around the NBA, I do think that the Clippers are in for a facelift. I think that they are going to – I think it's going to be major surgery on that face. I think that they are going to change their roster significantly. And I got to be honest with you, I wouldn't be totally surprised if Kawhi and PG were gone from the Clippers. But I do think Paul George has more value than Kawhi Leonard does. Paul is still an elite shooter. He is a very good defender, and he has been proven to be a solid playoff performer. And I think if you can plug in Paul George and Jalen Brunson and the rest of that lineup, and if you give up RJ Barrett to get that done, you're a far better basketball team than you were before you made the Paul George trade.
Yeah.
And
he's $48 million this year. That's the number. You're $48 million 1 year rental because this is his last year on his deal now. So you got to keep that in mind as well as far as grading this trade. But $48 million for Paul George means, guys like RJ Barrett, because RJ Barrett's a $23 million guy.
Just signed an extension.
Just signed the extension. Are you going to ask for Quentin Grimes? Are you going to ask for Quickly?
No, I don't think the Knicks would give up Quickly, but I think if you could, without knowing Derrick Rose's number, but if you put in, that works right there. That's the topper that you need. And I think if you can get Paul George, I think you got to do what you need to do to get Paul George in a Knick uniform. I think that makes a lot of sense for them. Who knows what that looks like? I mean, we haven't seen major deals leading up to this draft yet.
And Derrick Rose is $15 a year. Like I said, he's an unrestricted free agent next year. So again, another 1 year guy.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense for the Knicks to put a deal together with the Clippers for Paul George. I think he is a really, really good fit there. And I still maintain Bradley Beal would have also been a really good fit with the Knicks, but that's clearly off the table at this point. I think you're looking at a situation where Leon Rose is well aware of what he's got there, and you don't have forever. Windows to win in the NBA are so small. You look at the Suns may be the best example of this, but you went and got Chris Paul, but look at the changes that you had to make to get there.
Yeah.
Right? Then you go and get Kevin Durant. Look what you gave up. I mean, you might have crippled yourself here. And now you go and make this Bradley Beal trade that, again, I'm just going to tell you, I don't love the Bradley Beal trade for the Suns in any way, shape, or form. And we'll see what they give up to get him. But I would much rather have had the Cam Johnson package of players, the Mikal Bridges package of players, than I would Bradley Beal. You'd be a better team with those two guys than you would with Bradley Beal right now. Yet, I understand you wouldn't have Kevin Durant. But this last circumstance dealing the Isaiah Thomas situation in Phoenix is a disaster.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a disaster. So I look at the Knicks and I say to myself, the Knicks are in a really good place with where they are. The next move they make could likely define their trajectory for the next 2 seasons. And if you can add Paul George, and if you ship out a player like Quentin Grimes, and you ship out a guy like a Derrick Rose, who frankly, Thibodeau is not playing him. Tibbs is not playing Derrick Rose.
Yep.
Why are you hanging on to that money if you can make a Paul George trade?
Yep.
And if you got to give up RJ Barrett, are you telling me that you would hesitate? If I said to you right now, 1v1, RJ Barrett, and you give me Paul George, there's not a Knick fan on the planet who wouldn't make that deal.
Yeah, I mean,
not
if you do RJ Barrett, Derrick Rose, and then you were to work in, another small role player. Let's just use Grimes as an example. You're at $40 million right there. So there's still an $8 million gap because of Paul George's contract that you kind of have to figure out and massage a little bit. But again, Derrick Rose has a club option too. So if you're the Clippers and you pick up D Rose, you have that option that you can bring him you can bring him back. It isn't up to him. So, I think that's why I said, you're right. These two can be dance partners, no problem. I mean, they can definitely find a way. I just wonder, again, you look at teams on the level of, the Jazz, let's say. A team on that level in this year's draft that's looking to upgrade and looking to build their team into a playoff contender for the next 5 to 7 years. Yeah. I think there are a lot of opportunities like this. Again, whether it's the Knicks, whether it's the Heat, obviously, there's been a lot of talks about Charlotte's situation. I think Brooklyn is another team that's just kind of flying under the radar that no one's talking about. That's a team that's playoff good, but not championship good. So they have choices to make. Which route are you going to go? If you're one of these Eastern Conference teams, you have business to do. You cannot just sit around. So again, yeah, the Clippers, the Suns, the Nuggets are already making trade picks and stuff and operating. There will be a lot of business done in this window before the season starts. And it's going to come down to who's the best executive, which is why I come right back to the point of evangelizing for Danny Ainge, because this is primarily where Danny Ainge has dominated people. This is where Danny Ainge has made his resume and his career and his reputation. So I think, when I look at the Paul George situation, it makes me think, hey, the Utah Jazz could be a third team. They could get in on it. They could find a way. And that's what excites me about this time right now.
Yeah, I think the situation with Derrick Rose is a big one. Yeah. I mean, the Knicks hold all the cards there. I think that you have to be aggressive up until the option deadline on him. And I think if you can, because you don't really have another guy that you want to deal there. I look at some of these deals, the Evan Fourniers of the world. I think Derrick Rose at $15.6 million on a team option is a really easy to trade contract.
Small note on that option, though, that deadline portion you were just talking about.
Yeah.
The deadline's the 24th, 3 days from now.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to make a decision, which is why I think, to your point, you're hearing all this Paul George smoke, because they got to decide. They got to do something.
Yeah, I think you have pieces to move there. Yeah. I'm curious. I'm also curious on the Knicks how married to Mitchell Robinson they are, because everybody was excited with that deal they brought him back on, but I don't know that exactly worked out. I really don't.
Yeah.
We'll see. Let's see. Jeff Evans says Knicks would be stupid to trade for PG-13. These young teams leverage their future thinking they are one piece away. Clippers would be smart to break up Kawhi and PG-13 duo, though. I think Paul George is exactly what the Knicks need, because they are. And R.J. Barrett was that. We saw it during the playoffs. R.J. Barrett was really good, and he was really bad. If you put Paul George on that team, and I think you continue, because they have all the pieces that they need. They can do anything they like. They have it all. You need to supplement. Josh Hart's a very interesting point. I think he's a critical performer for them. And I do think they would, if they had their druthers, they probably would trade Mitchell Robinson. That's just a guess, because you don't necessarily. I mean, I don't know how you deal with Joel Embiid. He's not it, though. He's not that guy. So I think.
That guy in what sense? What do you mean?
I just don't think Mitchell Robinson's the guy you put out there to deal with a Joel Embiid. I'm looking at builds like the Pistons, the teams that are going to be active. I would think Philly would have some activity. The Pistons will be active. I think the Bulls are going to trade Zach LaVine. I think Milwaukee's in for a bit of a restructure. I think there's going to be a lot of activity. Brooklyn's an interesting fit. The Knicks are going to be one of the most active teams in the East, I think, this summer and in and around the draft. And I think the Derrick Roses, I think you look at Evan Fournier's deal. I know I just mentioned him, but you look at some of these other guys, you look at Quentin Grimes is on a team deal that was exercised now. He's your guy. I don't see them giving him up.
Yeah.
And it'll just be interesting to see who they bring back and who they do not. The core of this team, I don't think is going to change. I think they hang on to Julius. I think obviously Jalen. I think Josh Hart's really important. Isaiah Hartenstein, I think. Emmanuel Quickly, like those guys. But other than that, I think they would trade RJ Barrett today if they could.
Yeah.
If they and not to keep picking on a scab here, but if they could go back and make the Donovan Mitchell deal, come on. I think we all recognize they would do that. They would. Tanner says PG-13 would fit perfectly with the Knicks. That team with George could make a run at the Eastern Conference Finals. I think they could.
I agree.
I think they could. And I think Paul George is also in a position where, he's got to stay healthy and he knows it. But Paul George is a grinder. He's a hard worker. And he's a gym rat, and he's a guy that works his body hard. So I would think he would come back in shape. Taylor Smith says if he can stay healthy, PG-13 with Brunson and Randall would go deep in the playoffs. Totally agree. 100%. Jeff Bevan, Derrick Rose is a team option this summer. He can be a free agent if the Knicks decide not to pick up his option. I think they would much rather pick it up and trade him.
Well, that's the conversation. Because, again, you've got today, tomorrow, and then Friday you got to pick up the option or let him go.
Yeah.
And so 3 days maybe in normal time isn't a lot of time, but 3 days in terms of making a deal is plenty of time. You can, all it is, hey, if he's the Clippers and I'm the Knicks, I got to call him, have an initial conversation, understand what they want, look at my books, or if I understand off the top of my head, you can put a deal together in literally 5 minutes.
Yes.
It just comes down to negotiating. And like when they were when the Jazz and when Danny was negotiating with the Knicks, they wanted Grimes, and the Knicks didn't want to give up Grimes. So you wind up not doing a deal. That's what slows things up.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think Paul George has to be on board with it as well. But if you're going to ship Paul George out of Los Angeles, I think it's going to have to be Philly, Boston, New York.
He won't be in the Western Conference.
You cannot trade him in the West.
No.
You just can't. Bevan says healthy PG-13 would be a great addition, but his health is unreliable. It's a coin toss whether or not he will be healthy for the playoffs. I think that knee injury last year was a freak accident.
Yeah.
Like that hyperextension, he got lucky he didn't tear it up, but that was a freak accident. Like, I don't view Paul George as a guy. I think he's much more of a load management guy than he is an injury guy, which I hate, by the way. And that's why I like the minimums. Riley O'Brien, what's up, dude? Jake and Monty, what is the likelihood, in your opinion, the Jazz make a trade tomorrow during the draft? I think, it's funny. I was talking to a Jazz guy this morning, and we were talking about the fact that they are really busy on the phones. But the Jazz are always busy on the phones.
Danny Ainge, man.
I think they would really like to get up 4, 5, 6. I think the Utah Jazz, when you look at, they're focused on an experienced point guard. I think this situation at the top of the draft is fascinating to me. Like, I think Charlotte is likely not going to take Scoot Henderson. And I want to understand this. I really want to understand this. I need to wrap my head around the fact that you're going to take. The rumors are that Charlotte has locked in on Brandon Miller.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy can shoot. He can't finish at the rim to save his life. But Brandon Miller can play in the paint. He's got mid-range. His workouts, from what I understand, he has been knocked down from 3 at the NBA level. He has really shot it well. But have you no concerns about what happened with him off the court?
Apparently not.
I mean, this cat was allegedly and accused of, not charged, but was alleged to have been at the scene of, at a minimum, at the scene of a major shooting. And I just don't know how you bring that into your circle right now if you're Charlotte. With
all the issues with Ja right now.
And with all the issues around LaMelo.
Yes.
And the flash and the fact that he allegedly drives around Charlotte like an asshole in his sports cars, and he's got this McLaren, and he routinely runs red lights in downtown Charlotte and does not care. Like he is a guy, and there's a lot of people who are saying that LaMelo is a wee bit young and unprofessional in that he doesn't build his body and he doesn't go to bed and he doesn't always eat well. And dudes, like, is this the guy you want to bring in?
He's 21.
Yeah.
LaMelo.
It's a big question because LaMelo Ball, in my opinion, when he's healthy, and again, here's another problem with LaMelo, hasn't been healthy. 21. Who knew one of the Ball brothers is hurt? Because Lonzo's career, there's a lot of people who think his career's over.
I think that's HIPAA.
With this knee situation.
Yeah.
And LaMelo's been hurt constantly. And he's not exactly been the most reliable cat off the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'd take a risk on character. And I
I just don't think there's a need to. That's the thing.
And listen, I understand 6'9", 200, knockdown three-point shooter, good mid-range player. Dude, that's an NBA guy. I understand that. But I think some of these NBA folks think they can change people like Zion Williamson. And you can't. And so as far as the Jazz go, I think if it's obviously Victor's the way at number 1.
Right.
Brandon Miller number 2. Now all of a sudden, Portland's on the board at number 3 with Scoot Henderson sitting there. What do you do there? Don't you, if you're Portland, don't you trade that pick? How do you not trade? And here we go with Portland again. And the question now becomes, okay, well, if it's Portland, are you keeping Dame or are you trading Dame? Which now seems to be a daily question around the NBA. Is Dame in? Is Dame out? Does Dame want to go to the Lakers? Is he ready to finally make a move? I don't know. But I can tell you this, if I'm trading Damian Lillard, I'm taking a point guard.
Yep.
I am taking, and if I'm trading Damian Lillard, I'm taking Scoot Henderson. Because that's an NBA-ready dude as well. What that guy's done in his workouts with his shot, because there were some people that wondered about, Scoot's got all this athletic ability, he's built like a rock, like kid can play. Can he shoot? And he has shown in his workouts, he refined his shooting mechanics, and he is knocking it down from the NBA 3.
Mm-hmm.
I would be all over Scoot Henderson. But now look what that does to the Houston Rockets at number 4. And this is where the Jazz come in. Because the Jazz, from what I understand, are locked on a point guard. They understand that right now, point guard guy. Because I still maintain, I think Colin Sexton's available.
He's mid is what he is. He's available. He's somebody that you can, if you're selling him, you're going to say, yeah, dude, this guy was awesome. You can develop him. Let's get a deal done. Right?
I think he's available. I think Colin Sexton is available for trade. And I'm not ready to say I know, but I've heard it too many times that the Jazz are shopping Colin Sexton. And I think if you have access to Ammon Thompson and you don't move up to get him from the Rockets at number 4, I think you are crazy.
Facts.
Because Ammon Thompson at number 4, and I think you're going to have to give up a lot to get him. You're going to have to certainly give up an additional number 1. You are probably going to have to give up a player in that. You're probably giving up 2 picks and a player to get him.
Mm-hmm.
Does Houston have any interest in a Colin Sexton?
No.
Probably not. Probably not. So I don't know. Do they have the balls to make a trade? Sure they do. But the biggest question, in my opinion, is do the Jazz have the players to make a trade? That's a huge question mark.
Yeah.
Because you can have Ammon Thompson, Anthony Black. Those guys are going to be available to you. What are you willing to give up to get them? And if my sources are correct, the Jazz are locked on their guy, and I think it's I've heard Anthony Black from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Cam Whitmore's a guy I know they really like, but I think Ammon Thompson is the guy. If I could get my hands on Ammon Thompson, dude, 6'7", 220,
NBA body.
Now he's an overtime elite guy. So he's not an experienced point guard, and I know they would rather have an experienced point guard. But
you can develop him. You can see the path. I mean, it's not like this guy has major flaws or like he just needs playing time. That's it. That's it.
I don't know. I think there's some really interesting – I'm just looking at the point guard rankings. I don't know how you beat 6'7", 210 Anthony Black.
Yeah.
But
the play.
The upside on Ammon Thompson.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you're the Jazz, what was the point of doing the Rudy trade if you're not going to move up right here? If you're not going to move up to number 4, sell me on why we care about, you and your 20 picks. Right? Like, isn't this why you did that? I mean, I look at this and I say, hey, point guard's a massive need. Move up. I wouldn't go top 3, but I would go 4. That's where I'd go.
And I'm okay if you give up that 16th pick and you wind up with an Ammon Thompson or even Cam Whitmore. I'd be okay with that. Does that 16th pick cost you Nick Smith? Probably does. Does that 16th pick cost you, like who's another? Like, look at power forwards, right? Because my guess is you're going to take a 3-4 guy, right? I would, I don't even know who would be the best available power forward at 16. I mean, I would imagine
that's really difficult to say.
That is really difficult to say.
Yeah,
Chris Murray from Iowa is really good. I would think he would be there. I mean, but again, I'm the guy that tells you I still think Leonard Miller from the G League or Amari Bailey from UCLA is going to be really good. Like, I'm looking at guys in the 30s.
Yeah.
Like, if you move down, if you make a trade with Detroit at 5 and you wind up with their 31st pick and you can get a Derek Whitehead from Duke.
Yep. Yeah.
So you wind up with your point guard of Anthony Black and Derek Whitehead.
It's pretty good.
That's a pretty good draft. Right? Or if you look at, pick swaps with Charlotte and you wind up at 27, like, you're going to get good players down there.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what do you value. And I happen to know, based on people I've talked to, they value point guard in this draft.
Yeah.
As they should. And I think the Jazz are going to make a significant, and when I say significant, they're going to move up in this draft. I'd be really surprised if they stayed at 9, if they didn't trade out.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised.
I'm going to keep making the point. You have all this ammunition. Now it's time to use it.
We'll see. Tanner T says going to compete with Pat McAfee for sports talk during the day. Bold strategy. We're not. Today's a special day. Schedule me, B says the Detroit Lions' new football helmet design is absolutely terrible. I'm a firm believer if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Here we go.
What? Really? You think their new helmet's terrible? I don't hate that at all.
I wasn't a huge fan of the Lion itself. I thought they could have done better there, but I love the blue.
I love the matte blue.
Yeah, the matte blue is pretty. I love that they're not a blue and white. It's a blue and gray. Yeah, I mean, overall, those will look slick on TV, no question.
Yeah, I agree. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I actually think they look fine.
Yeah.
But that's just me. Never wrong to mix in some NFL there. Appreciate it. Depressed Snoopy says, how do I become a member? I think you just hit the join button.
Yeah.
That's it. You just hit the join button. Landon Davis, do you guys have a prospect you love at late lottery, mid-teen range? Well, I mean, there's a lot of those. There's some, like, Cody Buffkin's an interesting, like, Buffkin from Michigan's a really interesting prospect. Taylor Hendricks is a guy 10 to 15 who should be picked in that range.
He will be a good player.
Koulibaly, whose name I can never pronounce. Bilal Koulibaly.
The old Frenchman.
Yeah, I think he's really interesting. Nick Smith from the point guard, Nick Smith from Arkansas. Keontae George from Baylor, certainly. I don't know what my feelings on Grady Dick are. That's an interesting cat.
Well, I mean, I think, if we're trying to do the whole spectrum thing on Grady Dick, the low end, I think, is a bench player who's a solid contributor every night. The high end, I think, is an all-star a couple times in his career. Really, really quality contributor in a starting five, but never like a superstar guy.
But it's him or Jordan Hawkins. Mm-hmm. Right? Jordan Hawkins is a guy, if you're picking it 12 through 16, you're probably going to have a shot at Jordan Hawkins. I mean, that's a cat that won a national championship, right?
Yeah.
That's a cat that I would think you believe in. It's 6'5", 185.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you are Atlanta, the Jazz, the Lakers,
yeah,
I wouldn't think he'd get down to Houston at 20. But if you're Miami, Golden State, like you're going to have a shot at him there, depending on trades. Like today, right now, I would think that you would have a shot at him there. But who knows? Brady Cook, what would they have to trade to get inside the top 6? I think multiple draft picks.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to trade multiple draft picks. I think to get up to 4, you'd probably have to give up a player as well. And I don't know how ready I am to do that. To me, that's a big question.
Yeah, I think that again, you have to be careful. You don't want to mess this up if you're Danny Ainge, but I think it would be difficult in this particular situation to mess it up. I mean, again, you have all this ammunition.
Yeah.
You have all the experience of the Celtics builds that he went through, so he knows what he's looking to do and kind of the path he's looking to take this franchise on. And again, I just think that you didn't put yourself through the pain of the Donovan Rudy stuff to not move up.
No, you did not. No, you did not. I think certainly that's a really good point, that you didn't go through all of that pain.
Yeah.
All of that pain to say, we're just going to trade out. You're not doing that. If you can get Ammon Thompson,
you're going after him.
How do you not? Right? That'd be like passing on a Papa Murphy's calzone.
At Papa Murphy's, we do more than just pizza. We do calzones.
Papa Murphy's does calzones?
Oh, I think you mean I do the calzones.
And how do you do it, Dad?
How do I do it?
Oh, well, we do it with fresh ingredients and hand-shredded cheese tucked in a scratch-made dough.
That's how, honey.
At Papa Murphy's, we make great pizza.
Hey, don't forget the calzones.
Order now at papamurphys.com.
Papa Murphy's Pizza, the official pizza of the Monty Show. Make sure you download the Papa Murphy's mobile app. It's the easiest way to get your hands on Papa Murphy's Pizza. And the thing that I love about Papa Murphy's Pizza is you can pretty easily order it at 6 a.m. for 4 o'clock in the afternoon pickup, right? Like that's the thing you love. That's what I love about Papa Murphy's. Oh, by the way, the pizza's freaking fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And I would tell you every single day of your life, if you can have the marinara meatball on top of a calzone, it's over. You'll never live a better life than that. At Papa Murphy's Pizza, use the promo code Monty25 to get 25% off your purchase of $25 or more. Riley O'Brien says the Monty Show greater than the Pat McAfee Show. Appreciate that, although Pat's fantastic. Riley also says, agree, Jake. You trade Donovan Rudy to get your new star eventually. Marketing is good, but man, if we can get Scooter Ammon, I will literally tell every person I see ain't no reset.
But it's the truth, dude. Like you need, all jokes aside, you need a guy like that. You can't roll out this whole thing about, hey, we're going to be a championship contender inside of 5 years. And then live on the production of Laurie last year, and then not go out and take advantage of what, in my opinion, is one of the most loaded drafts talent-wise at the point guard position we've seen in the last couple of seasons. So, to me, I'm going to have a problem. I'm not going to be pissed at Danny, but I would have a little bit of an issue, maybe some frustration, if we want to word it that way, if you stayed at 9. Because I love Taylor Hendricks. And I love Anthony Black, but Scoot Henderson and Ammon Thompson are generational point guard talents. Those are talents that are not just, readily available. So for me, I'm just sitting here saying, okay, I need to solidify positions in my starting 5 for the next 5 years as soon as possible. I've got Laurie and I've got Walker. My 4 and my 5 are good to go. I can expect Walker Kessler to give me a 20 and 10 game pretty regularly inside of the next 2 or 3 years. Not even a problem. Laurie is a guy that I can say, okay, this is someone who can pop off for 40, but is regularly a 25 point a night guy. And they're doing that without a point guard to initiate the offense on a regular basis. So that production's going to go up. And what does Ammon Thompson give me in his individual role? I mean, if I'm getting in his rookie season, if I'm getting 20 points and 7 dimes, I'm going to be happy with that. I'm going to be really happy with that. And then if that expands to 25 and 10, if he turns into that kind of player, now you can see the path. And doing it through the draft means you're going to be able to build a bench too. So not taking point guard here, in my opinion, is a massive mistake for the long-term build.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to see. It'll be very interesting to see how all this plays out. I think it's one of those things where you just have to you have to be as aggressive as you need to be to get the guy you want.
Yeah.
And this Utah Jazz team, and I know it sounds simplistic, but I'm telling you, this Utah Jazz team has the guy. They know who they want, and they're being very close to the vest on it, as they should be. But Danny Ainge and Justin Zanuck know the guy. They've identified the guy, and I think they're willing to do what they need to do. I mean, you don't come this far. You don't come this far just to go this far.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to get after it.
There is no question.
Yeah. Alex says, love the show this time of day. Really miss Monty in the morning. Appreciate you. Landon Davis, whatever Danny does, I trust.
Facts.
Okay.
Hasn't given you a reason not to trust him yet.
Okay. MJ Bissett, hey, why so early? What the heck? I missed most of the show. The beautiful thing, it lives forever. Lives forever. The Big Mugamba says, dang, Papa Murphy's sounds kind of good right now, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Papa Murphy's always sounds good. Always sounds good on the Monty show. Should we talk about Tyreek Hill today?
We can. I mean, he's going to be in trouble for a minute. We can save it if you want.
All right. By the way, they have not found the submarine yet.
It's not a submarine.
I'm sorry, they have not found the not a submarine yet.
How dare you?
Yeah, the submersible.
Thank you. The pod.
Okay, so remember we talked about best and worst case scenarios on this?
Yeah.
Dude. So they're flying an airplane over what they believe to be the most likely spot that this submersible got into trouble.
Yeah.
Which happens to be very near the Titanic wreckage, as we all are aware. So this airplane hears a noise underneath the ocean. Okay, but that's not abnormal. You hear noises, whales fart all the time, right? Like you hear noises in the water. But they continued to monitor, and it was banging every 30 minutes. Every 30 minutes, they hear banging for 5 hours. Every 30 minutes. Obviously, they believe this is a sign of life on this submersible.
Yeah.
But remember we talked about worst case scenario? Because the hard truth is, and I don't know what you guys think about this. My opinion is, the hard truth is, if you're on the ocean floor, you're done. It's over. If you are on the ocean, if that submersible is at the bottom of the ocean, they're dead. Because as so many people have described, there's not technology available to save them. They've got less than 24 hours of air left.
Yeah, there's this theory that I'm not even sure is possible that the Navy has this device of some kind. I don't even know what it's called. But basically, you can pull things from the bottom of the ocean in sort of like a winch kind of device. It's more complicated than that, but that's the general logic. But the problem with that even is that that's great. Let's say you could even do that. You still got to get them out of that thing.
You got it. No. Like, you have to find them first.
Well, yeah, there's that.
They haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
They haven't found it yet. You're looking 3 miles down in the ocean. What is it, 13,000 feet?
Yeah, 2.5 miles, 13,200 feet.
You're looking 13,000 feet in pitch black conditions.
Yeah.
Pitch black. 31.5 degrees at the bottom of the ocean, they say. And by the way, their carbon is their CO2 is filling up the compartment of this small vessel. So you're running out of time here, dude.
Absolutely.
You're less than 24 hours to go. You haven't found it. And then when you do find it, You A, have to hope they're alive, and B, put a plan in place to get that thing off the floor in time to save them. You're fucked. It's over. If you're on the ocean floor, you are dead.
Yeah.
Simple. Now, there is a scenario that was on MSNBC this morning. One of the guys who was one of the original people who found the wreck of the Titanic. Because remember, I think, what did it take, 75 years just to find where the Titanic went down?
Yes.
So a French research group finds the Titanic, and they have these little submersible ship things that go down. And they're going down and down, going down, coming up, going down, coming up, going down, coming up, right? The last venture to the bottom of the ocean to see the Titanic, it's a two-man crew. A pilot and this explorer. This explorer was on MSNBC last night. And he told a remarkable story. The story is that his submersible goes down to the Titanic, and they land on top of the Titanic on the house where the captain and all the crew command the Titanic ship. They land on, I think they call it the pilot house. They land their submersible on the pilot house. And right before they're about to take off to go back to the top, the pilot and this explorer sit there and have a moment of reflection, and they say to themselves, man, dude, we're just so lucky to have been through this expedition and done all these dives. They did like 30 dives. Like, what a great moment. And we're just so fortunate to have been here. This is great. Man, look at, you're amazing. No, you're amazing. No, you're amazing. Like, they share that moment, right? All right, let's go back home. I got to take a dump. So the pilot raises a submersible. Oh, it's trapped on the pilot house. And they lost radio communication.
This is a code 10 abort.
Do they panic and die? They don't. What they did is they figured it out. They didn't panic. They were able to reestablish communication. Another submersible came down, and it turns out when they landed their submersible on the pilot house, they got caught under telephone wire. And they had another submersible there that was able to say to them, hey, you back up, go down, go forward, go back, go up, left, right. And they were able to free themselves, and they got back up to the surface with an hour of air left.
Bro.
So this other submersible, they can't find it. But it can be done as long as you can find it. Yeah. And they can't find it because they don't have communication with it. And what they say is, and this expert in submersibles says, if they have not by now reestablished communication, it means they don't have power. And if they don't have power, what does that mean? Okay, here's where it gets scary. They're in pitch black. They don't have heat. And they're tapping and pounding on the walls of the ship to try and get themselves rescued. Because that's all they can do. They are literally sitting there waiting to die.
Yep.
How terrible is that shit?
Oh, dear.
Oh, my God. Like,
Yeah,
there are ways to go, and then there are not ways to go. Dude,
Yeah, that's rough,
I
bro.
don't want to go that way.
That's
I do
rough.
not want that for myself. Hey, Michael Peck says, wait, what? Why is the Monty show on right now?
Because we had a scheduling issue, and so the question was, do we not do the show, or do we give you guys a show early? We decided to give you guys a show early.
Because we hate missing shows. We never take days
Yeah.
off, really. Rarely. Depressed Snoopy's a new member of the show.
Let's go, baby. Let's go, baby.
Gotta love that.
Boom.
Cubs are up 6-3 in the seventh, cruising. Al Leiter Jr. just got hit by a line drive. Yeah, nothing to worry about here. The Cubs. Oh, my God, the Cubs. Kay Sumbry, are you guys really live? Yes. Sumbry.
No, this is a simulation.
Nope. He said, is this real life? Nah, dude. This isn't live. We're at the bottom of the ocean near the Titanic.
Yeah, we're in a darkness retreat.
Giggity. The Navy does have the system to pull it up. The issue is finding a needle in a haystack.
Agreed. Yep.
I'm telling, and I'm not joking or making light of it, but dude, they're dead. It's over. Because if they haven't reestablished communication, apparently these things are very systematic. If A, then B.
Okay.
If they haven't reestablished communication, then that means they lost power. The power unit probably failed. So they have no thrusters. So what does that mean? Slow descent to the bottom of the ocean. If you're at the bottom of the ocean, dude,
it's over. And
they haven't found you yet, you're dead. It's over. It's over. Yeah, truck stop Gumby. Unfortunately, game over. You know. Go Black, go Tigers. Slam Ball announces a media deal with ESPN before the Limp 12. Is that a real thing? Is that true? You know. Bryce Martin. Plus, they don't have any food or drinkable water for 3 days.
Yeah. Oh. So you're getting in trouble without water for 3 days.
Oh. Mark, 324. The show early is like San Diego State joining the Big East. Yeah.
Joining the Big East.
Waves in opposition.
There you go. Bryce Martin, this is literally the worst way to die. Worst way to die.
So you're going to die of hypothermia. It's pitch black. You're hearing all the sounds of the ocean, I might add, right? Because that's the other thing no one's talking about. Can you imagine the sounds you hear down there? Can you imagine? Like, I don't know, dude. Like, that's just... again, this is why I say I'm not interested in going to the bottom of the freaking ocean, man. Like, yeah. I'm not. Like, cool, hey, Titanic's down there. Great, dude. If I'm going to go and put my life in danger, which is what I consider this to be before this ever happened. If you're going to the bottom of the ocean in adverse conditions of any variety, if you're skydiving, bottom of the ocean, you know, if you're driving an F1 car, whatever, dude, you need to be prepared to die. And I'm not trying to be exaggerated, guy, but you need to be prepared for these things to happen.
Yeah.
Like even hiking out in the wilderness, off the grid, as they say. You better know how to start a fire without any type of lighter. You better know how to build, housing for yourself and be able to protect yourself. Like, you got to know these things. That's their problem. You're in the ocean, bro. You're out of control. There's nothing you can do.
You're done. Do the fish swim by and just give you the finger?
Yeah, probably. Probably.
Ain't no reset.
Do you look out the window? If you're down there, do you look out the window? Man, I don't think I look out the window. I'm
not interested in going to the bottom of the ocean, man.
Yeah. Truck Stop Gumby says, so no redundancy? You would think you would have redundancy on some level.
Waves in opposition.
Like, hey, if your main thruster fails, don't you have a backup? Like, they had an observation ship above.
How is there no emergency, hey, we got to ping the surface type deal that's not connected to the ship's power?
Or how do you not have like explosive something that boosts you back up to the
something, emergency something.
Bryce Martin says, no, Jake, I don't want to imagine that, especially when I can't see anything.
It's terrifying, bro.
And your phone's probably dead. So you can't use your flashlight.
Well, you're not. Yeah, I mean, you're not. Yeah. There's no service down there.
Right, but you still take your phone to take pictures and stuff.
Do you?
Yes, absolutely. I'm not leaving my phone up there. Aztec country, we're all gonna die. Sufjan Stevens.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Okay. I'm never gonna die. I'm gonna live forever. There should have been more rescue preparedness. Yes, there should have. It's statistically more dangerous to drive a Subi really fast in the woods than to ride in a sub to see the Titanic.
Well played.
Giggity, why was this tin can not tethered to the ship? Okay,
another great question.
2.5, but it's 2.5 miles away.
Okay, we got 2.5 miles of rope.
No, come on. You got to be, dude. The problem is that this company was allegedly derelict in safety.
Well,
like
that's
multiple lawsuits, whistleblowers. Like, they wanted to use, this thing's made of carbon fiber. They didn't want to use titanium. And the owner of the company, who also built this thing, was like, I'm not going to follow in everybody's footsteps. I'm innovating. Hey, that's cool until you're dead on the floor of the ocean. Come on. It's fair. When do you think they knew they were screwed? You had to know. I think, man, can you imagine it? You're just like cruising along and you're probably eating cookies and they've just done meal service or something. And then the lights go out.
Dude.
And the guy's probably like, oh, don't panic.
Okay,
And
that's enough. Stop, please.
there's no power. You can't control anything, and you're just sinking. You know the worst? Think about that. And it probably took you half an hour to sink all that way. And then the moment that the submersible hits the ocean floor. Is that not just sheer panic? At what point are you like, I just want this to end?
It took the Titanic 3 hours to get from the surface to the ocean floor. So if it took the Titanic that long, how long did it take Buddy and his little tin can?
Oh, man. Dude, I don't even...
Yeah, I'm good, dude.
Whew, it's
by the
fair.
way,
yes.
Sorry, by the way, when do they send a pod down to search for this thing? When do you go down and say, okay, we got to go hunting now?
Yeah.
Don't you have to do that?
I don't think they ever recover it.
Yeah.
I just don't think you'll ever...
Yeah.
I don't think you will. I don't think you'll ever see it again. It's Fair says, don't worry about it. We'll reset the batteries.
Dude.
Ain't no reset.
Bryce Martin, the amount of money this company is going to have to pay in lawsuits now should have invested in safety measures.
But like, even just in we're not talking about like a contact sport. We're talking about 2.5 miles into the ocean, and you didn't want to invest in safety?
Yeah, I can't do it.
How? Like, even for your own personal, like, I understand, hey, carbon fiber is strong. It's not strong enough.
No.
It is not strong enough, dude.
No, it's not. Breaking news in the NBA for you. As always, all of our NBA talk on the Monty Show is presented by our good friends at TryDayTrading.com. TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Kristaps Porzingis apparently is a target of the Boston Celtics as the Wizards and Celtics are talking about a deal according to Shams Charania.
Mm-hmm.
Shams is saying that they are having trade discussions between Boston and Washington. You like Kristaps on the Celtics?
No, not at all. I think he's not that guy. He's a decent little player, but it's not like
you're not that guy.
It's not like, Porzingis is all of a sudden going to make you win the NBA Finals. To me, he's not the added piece. Dude, if you're going to go after Kristaps, why aren't you going after PG? Why aren't you going after Dame?
There you go.
Like, why? Like I love Jason Tatum and Jalen, but like it's not getting the job done. You need a Dame time, a Paul George, a guy who is an established superstar in this league.
Well, and I don't know. I could be wrong. I mean, you guys feel free to tell me, but I think I wonder what you guys think about. I wonder what you guys think about Kristaps Porzingis. Has he ever returned to the status as a Knick? I don't think he has.
I don't think so.
I really don't think he has. There is this prevailing theory, and I know this pisses off Mavericks fans every time I say this, so I apologize, but there is this prevailing theory that nobody wants to play with Luka Doncic.
Well, yeah.
I've heard that repeatedly, right? Like, we've talked about this on the show. He's very difficult to play with. You look at what Jalen's done with the Knicks. You look at, just the guys who have come and gone from there. They're better players when they leave there.
Yeah.
And I think Kristaps Porzingis went to Dallas to die.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. I think he went to Dallas to die. And I think when you look at Kristaps with the Knicks, sure, the knee injury, you look at who he was in Washington. It's not like this guy's been a scrub in Washington. Kristaps Porzingis has been a much better player for the Wizards than he was for the Mavericks.
Right.
And again, I think a lot of that was, hey, Brad didn't play a lot of games, right? Beal missed a lot of time. You have a guy in Gafford there, Kuzma's there. Like, you look at the crew that's rolled through there with Porzingis, you have a more team-oriented style there. It allows him to be that player again.
I mean, he's had this past season, 22-23, with the Wizards was his best season since 16-17 with the Knicks. He played 65 games, 32 minutes, 23 points, 49% from the field, 38% from three.
30, and that's the number.
Yeah.
Because he is back as a shooter.
8 rebounds, 2 assists. I mean, if he replaces Al Horford and you upgrade that position, and he's going to give you that 38%.
And do you know what his number is? I actually think, sitting here thinking through it now, like, I feel like that's a good fit. The question is, does he fit with Tatum? Yeah, I think he does.
Okay, again, another one-year rental guy.
Yes.
So
if you put him with Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, Marcus Smart, and who's that fifth guy? Like, who's your... It almost doesn't matter. But you have to keep most of that roster intact because I think Porzingis lifts those guys a little bit.
So Porzingis is $36 a year. And when you look at
That's
Boston's
affordable,
cap...
dude.
But you look at Boston's cap, Tatum's making 32, Jaylen Brown's making 28 with an incentive of 3 a year. So that's, again, 31, 32, somewhere in that neighborhood. So you're at 60-ish there. You're looking at Brogdon at 22 and Marcus Smart at 18. Those are your 5 guys that you've been running with for a minute.
Are you willing to trade Robert Williams to get Kristaps Porzingis on a 1-year deal?
Robert Williams and Al Horford. Those are the 2 guys I'd move. Those 2 guys. Yeah.
Al Horford's got... What does he have left on his
And then
deal?
Peyton Pritchard wants to be traded. So if you go Derek White, Robert Williams, and Peyton Pritchard, that works.
I think this is Horford's last year there. I think Robert Williams has 3 years. I mean, I would trade Robert Williams to get Kristaps because Are you in a championship window? Almost certainly in Boston you are. Right? Almost certainly in Boston you are. I would trade Robert Williams to get Kristaps Porzingis on a 1-year deal.
100%.
I think you have to.
100%.
Because Rob's another guy that's been hurt. I mean, he's really good, but he's not your prototypical guy. I mean, Porzingis, who's closer to the dad bod god? Like, who's closer to Nikola Jokic? Porzingis or Robert Williams? Well, Porzingis is.
Yeah.
That's the center. Who's closer to Joel Embiid? Robert Williams or Kristaps Porzingis? Porzingis is.
Yeah.
I like Robert Williams a lot, but you want to win or you don't. I look at the other guy that's interesting on that team is Derek White. How important is Derek White to Boston?
Very important.
Dude, I think he's critical. Grant Williams is a fucking fraud, dude. I'm telling you. And I don't hate Grant Williams, but I'm just not I'm not a Grant Williams guy.
Yeah, he's restricted free agency. A lot of people are interested in him.
I'm not overpaying to keep him.
He's only $8 million for someone to pick him up.
Yeah, I'm not overpaying to keep him.
Yeah.
I'm not. That's an interesting note, by the way.
Yeah.
Do the Celtics keep Jaylen Brown?
Yes,
Bryce
they will.
says. Because the Celtics move off Brown for KP and draft picks.
You need them. You need all 3 together. You need Tatum, Brown, and Porzingis if you're going to beat Miami. You need it.
And by the way, Jaylen Brown's really popular in that locker room.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and with the players' union too.
And I'm just telling you, dude. Kristaps Porzingis left Dallas, and he's a really good player. He's a really good player, and I just think Luka continues to be a problem in Dallas because
he's only 27. I mean, this guy isn't old.
No, but he had a catastrophic knee injury. That knee injury, I think, wrecked his reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget what Kristaps Porzingis was as a Knick, because I think he's close to that in Washington.
Yeah.
Nobody watches in Washington.
It's true.
But,
yeah.
Jordan Royal says the slam ball thing is legit, says it'll return to ESPN next month. Slam ball's fun to watch.
Yeah, slam ball is fun to watch.
Let's see. Bryce Martin says, but does KP match up well against Bam? If not, then you downgraded.
Yeah, but Bam wasn't what decided their success. I mean, yeah, Bam is one of their key guys, but if you have Tatum, Brown, and Kristaps, you're going to be switching on defense all day anyway. So, to me, again, I just don't think that, Boston needs to get me over. They need the guy that just push them over the edge.
What they need is the guy who can score when Jason Tatum disappears.
Yeah.
That's, if we're truth-telling, right, what killed them in the playoffs, Boston? It was Tatum had long stretches where he just was not effective.
Same problem for Miami. Need someone who can score when Jimmy's not feeling Jimmy. When Jimmy's not Himmy.
Tyler Hero is not Kristaps Porzingis.
No.
And so we'll see. It's just an interesting thing. Bryce also says he would need a KD, Chris Paul type player who didn't need the ball in their hands but can still shoot the lights out. I think Luka is a real flipping problem.
Mm-hmm.
I think he is incredibly difficult to deal with. He is. So breaking news out of the NBA. Again, I tell you that Shams is nailing it. The last week he's had some big ones, and this one, Washington and Boston, talking about a Kristaps Porzingis deal. I think that's a big, big deal, and it's all brought to you on the Monty Show, presented by our good friends at TryDayTrading.com. TryDayTrading/Monty. Get your $10 30-day membership at TryDayTrading.com. I got it right. $10 30-day membership. And listen, inside of that 30 days, you know the best part about Try Day Trading is they're not trying to hoodwink you or convince you, or they're telling you, try our program for $10. And we're going to take that $10 and give it to charity. It's a tax write-off for you.
Program.
Right? Try the $10 30-day membership. In that 30 days, they're going to give you full coaching, full process, full algorithm. They're going to teach you the ways of the Shogun when it comes to day trading. And the thing I always say is, did you make $1,000 today? Did you make $1,000 today? You didn't. TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Did you make $200 today? Oh, you didn't. TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Because what I tell you is when you day trade, let's say you're tired of your boss, you're tired of going into the office again, those bastards forced you to come in. Okay, great. TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Make $1,000 a day working for yourself, running your own business, living the life you've dreamed of, right? Because if you think about it, what is $1,000 a day? It's $5,000 a week, $20,000 a month, right? Think about that money at a minimum. Think about what that means. 20 G's a month. Would that be okay? It's $240,000 a year. Would that be okay? I think it would, right? And then you're building on top of that. You're not that far from being a guy who's got real net worth, who's got real assets, the house, the car, the Disney vacations your neighbor took that you couldn't afford. TryDayTrading.com. Here's the other part. You want to keep your full-time job? Totally fine. Learn at your pace. TryDayTrading.com/Monty. 30-day, $10 trial membership. You know how you day trade part-time? They teach you how to program your systems using their process. You spend an hour and a half in the morning, program your systems, go to work, forget about it. You come back, you've made $200, $300, $400 that day. All automated, all systematic. It does it for you. It's a side hustle that pays you while you work. You don't even have to worry about doing all this extra work. Program your system, walk out the door, go to work, make $200, $300, $400 while you're working. It's an amazing system, but you can't do it unless you take the leap of faith. Stop talking about it. Start changing your life. TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Sign up for the $10 30-day trial membership at TryDayTrading.com. Derek says, I'd trade whatever did Luka. Okay. I mean, I speak English on this show, but Brady Cook. What's up, Brady? Wonder if Minnesota keeps Carl with Rudy.
No.
I think Karl Anthony Towns gets a new zip code.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you're not Rudy's contract is untradeable at this point.
And with how low his value is, I mean, you're just not. Yeah.
Yep, I agree. Sam J, I like driving from Salt Lake to Mill Creek. It's how far down they are in the ocean.
It's wild to think about, isn't it? Like, think about that distance.
That's how far down they are in the ocean.
Like, think about that instead of on land vertically. You're diving into the ocean that deep.
And it's pitch black.
Yeah. We have a graphic that shows, I believe, where sunlight stops.
Sorry. Oh, my God. Do we really want to see this? Do we really want to see this? Look at that. If I could manipulate the graphics properly. Victor, 6,000 ROV expected late Wednesday. Right? Look at that. Maximum depth sunlight penetrates 3,300 feet.
You're talking about 10,000 more feet that you have to dive down.
Operational depth of a military Vanguard submarine, 1,000 feet. Limits for recreational divers on air, 130 feet. Dude, they're 12,500 feet below the ocean. Dude, no, I'm good. I'm good.
It's nice knowing you guys.
That's when you're dead, dude. You are dead. There's no way to rescue. It's terrifying to me.
It's over.
It is absolutely terrifying to me. And the worst part is, this is how you're living your life right now. This is the tube that they're in, piled on top of each other.
Pitch black, no light.
freezing cold, and you're out of air in about 24 hours. I can't. I am absolutely terrified by it.
Yeah, no, I'm good, dude.
I am terrified by it. Truck Stop Gumby, Victor 6000 Rover is not the way. No, it's not.
Wow.
No, it's not.
Victor's the way.
Good Lord. No, it's not. I just can. I just want to go to sleep. And they say when you, because these people are going to die of hypothermia before they run out of air.
Yeah.
Truth be told, these cats in this rover will die of hypothermia because it's 31.5 degrees at the bottom of the ocean. And when you die of hypothermia, you essentially, you go through pain and then you fall asleep. And so right about now, they're probably trying not to fall asleep because they will be dead. It's terrifying, dude. It makes me misty thinking about this father and son from Pakistan.
Yeah, dude.
Thinking about this scientist who's given his life to the ocean. Why did you get on this thing? Why did you get on? I don't understand it.
What's the old saying? You had the best of intentions.
You did. But what does it matter?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, dude.
It does not matter. It doesn't. I mean, best of intentions is one thing. But there's just no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. The Monty Show is presented by The Advocates, theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. The Advocates, where you never pay a penny until and unless they win your case. You never reach into your pocket to pay the Advocates. Did you get hurt at work today? Did your mom, your sister, your cousin, did they get hit by a car while riding their bike? Did somebody's reckless, distracted driving cause an accident? You didn't deserve that accident. You didn't deserve that injury, but you deserve an advocate who will fight for you. Chat with an attorney live online for free, theadvocates.com. Make sure you tell them you heard about it on The Monty Show. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.